It's an NL Central battle between the two top teams in the division. Two-time National League MVP Albert Pujols leads the Cardinals into Milwaukee to battle the Brewers in their potent lineup led by the long ball duo of Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder. It's the Cardinals and the Brewers next on ESPN. Ricky's going. 300 games. It's over. It's over. They have become rivals over the last couple of years. The top two teams right now in the National League Central, the Milwaukee Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals, in the second game of a three-game series. Yesterday, an outstanding pitchers duel. Back here in Milwaukee, Miller Park, the home of the first place Milwaukee Brewers, a special Tuesday night edition of Major League Baseball here on ESPN. Glad you're with us. And a look at the National League Central shows it to be a wide open division, at least at this point in time. A division that just about everybody thought the Cubs were going to win before the season. Well, the Cubs can't get out of their own way right now. They have lost 8 in a row, fallen below 500 in fourth place in the division. Cincinnati playing pretty well. But right now, Milwaukee and St. Louis, the two teams we've got for you here tonight, are first and second in this division. Tony La Russa's got to be awfully happy with the way his team has played. With Ludwig on the DL, Troy Gloss hasn't played. Rick Ankiel is just coming back. Chris Carpenter was on the DL. A couple of World Series championships for a future Hall of Famer in Tony La Russa. Let's show you the starting lineup now at the Cardinals that Tony La Russa will put out there tonight, presented by Jack Daniels. And one of the big issues, Steve, always is who's going to provide some protection for Albert Pujols.
Well, it's probably the most important hitter in this lineup, the guy behind Albert Pujols. There's nobody that Tony La Russa can put in the four-hole that will cause them to pitch to Albert Pujols. So if they do walk him, they need Yadier Molina to be the guy to drive in runs. He's a key in this game today.
On the mound tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers, Oral, a crafty veteran, not an overpowering guy, but a guy who has done some of his best pitching as a Brewer against the Cardinals. That's Jeff Suppan.
Yeah, edgy with stuff still, the 34-year-old. 14-year veteran. You see the walks at 23, the strikeouts at 25. That tells you it's not put away stuff. He's going to work around the edges of the strike zone. And the key for him in a good outing is changing speeds with his curveball. Both his slider, cutter, and fastball can be in that 83 to 88 mile-an-hour range. But the thing that really slows the bat down for him and the hitters is the curveball down about 78.
And he's a guy, because he's not overpowering, he needs his defense more than most. The Brewers a better defensive team than they were a couple of years ago. Ryan Braun and Mike Cameron can really go get him out in center field. Corey Hart is the right fielder. On the infield, Bill Hall is at third base tonight. Craig Counsell for the injured J.J. Hardy, who could be back tomorrow. Casey McGee for Ricky Weeks, who's out for the season with a wrist injury. Prince Fielder has improved at first base over the last year or so. And Jason Kendall will get the start. Nothing new there. He plays more than just about any catcher in baseball. And there's McGee, the second baseman, and Counsell, the shortstop. Counsell, 38 years old. And really, ideally, he'll play some second, some short, some third. But he's become pretty much an everyday guy in the last several days because of the injuries. J.J. Hardy with the back spasms. They hope to get him back tomorrow. But again, Ricky Weeks done for the season. And he was having his best season for Milwaukee. Skip Schumacher, the St. Louis second baseman, gets it started tonight and looks at a called strike. Schumacher playing well, hitting almost 300, adjusting to the infield after being an outfielder with the Cardinals. Tony La Russa gave Schumacher a grade of 7 out of 10 so far. Schumacher thought that was nice, but he gave himself only a 5. But whatever number you attach to it, the experiment, and it really was nothing more than that. They took a chance. They needed a second baseman. So far, you'd have to say it's gone pretty well. Chopped to short. Counsell, one down. In his first year with the helm of the Milwaukee Brewers is Ken Amaka, of course, who had a lot of success as the manager of the Oakland A's. And you can see his bench coach, Willie Randolph, the former manager of the Mets. So a lot of experience on this Milwaukee coaching staff. Boy, those were some good Oakland teams. It seems like maybe it was longer ago than that Oakland was that good. But what a run they had, or really over about a 6 or 7 year period. And Ken Amaka was there for part of that. Here's Chris Duncan, the Cardinal left fielder.
I think some part of the Brewers hiring Ken Maka had to be with the fact that he managed so many good young players in Oakland. They need to develop from within and have a lot of good young position players here, so they thought he was the right fit for this team.
Tony La Russa has often favored a guy hitting in the 2 spot who can do some damage, who's got some thunder in his bat, and when he's going well, Chris Duncan fits the bill. When everybody's healthy, they've got 4 outfielders for 3 spots. Duncan, the rookie Colby Rasmus, Rick Ankiel, who's just come off the DL but is not in the lineup tonight, and the injured Ryan Ludwig. Ludwig will be back on Friday. So when they're all healthy, Tony La Russa can play the matchups a little bit more and accentuate the strengths of each player, try to minimize the weaknesses. But last couple of weeks, a guy like Duncan's been playing almost every day, and he's hitting under 200 over the last couple of weeks. Good change up there, 2-2.
Yeah, the thing with Chris Duncan is the responsibility was there for him to have to protect Albert Pujols. He's not in that slot today, but they've tried multiple people since Ryan Ludwig and Rick Ankiel have been out, and they are really looking forward to Ludwig coming back on Friday to protect that big man.
Just inside and a full count on Duncan. You can already see Suppan changing speeds, moving the ball in and out on the hitters. He has pitched very well against the Cardinals, his former team, as a member of the Milwaukee Brewers. 5-0 in 6 starts. A sharply hit ground ball into right center field, and Duncan is aboard with a 1-out single. So there will be a man on base as Albert Pujols comes to the plate for the first time tonight. And the injuries to Ludwig and Ankiel have affected Pujols as well. Not as many people on in front of him, not as much protection behind him. And as great as he is, one guy can only do so much for a team.
And he's actually, I think, starting to show a little bit of signs of trying to do something now, where they're thrown out of the zone. He's chased a couple pitches out of the zone that he tends to take. But he knows that he needs to make some contact and do some damage for this Cardinal offense.
Well, of all the pitchers that Albert Pujols has faced in his career, nobody has kept him in the ballpark through more at-bats than Jeff Suppan. Now, Pujols, it's kind of a good and bad stat. Pujols is hitting .394 in his career against Suppan, 13 for 33, but none of the 13 hits are home runs. Line foul, and Suppan's out in front 0-2.
Now you know you're good. You know you're good when you're hitting .394, and that's a good thing for the other pitcher. I mean, the pitcher's shutting you down, and you're hitting .394.
That's a moral victory for Suppan.
I guess so.
All singles and doubles.
Suppan's lucky he threw that ball 87 miles an hour right there. That was on the inner half of the plate, maybe even on the corner. And Albert was way out in front of it. Normally, if that's 92, 93, that's the ball that Albert can keep fair and hit for a double.
Curveball, strike 3 called, and Pujols knew it.
Well, 3 up, 3 down as far as strikes with Albert Pujols. A first pitch changeup at 82 right down the middle, down a fastball in off the plate. Albert pulls, and then a little popcorn 74-mile-an-hour curveball.
Up in the zone, too. I mean, it wasn't like a hard-biting curveball to try to get him to do anything. He must have been looking for something else.
Well, I think Albert right there being walked twice the last 4 days, expecting not to be pitched to, and Suppan went right after him.
Yadier Molina, the batter, with 2 down and a man at first. And a weakly hit ground ball to third. Bill Hall hitting over. Jeff Suppan gets it done on the top of the first. Adam Wainwright to the mound for the Cardinals. The Brewers are coming up when we come back. Back here in Milwaukee, going to the bottom of the first in front of a big crowd. Some Cardinal fans are in the house here. They travel well. They have come north to Milwaukee to root on their Cardinals. No scores. We go to the bottom of the first, and let's show you the Milwaukee starting lineup now, presented by Jack Daniels and Craig Counsell. 38 years old, Steve, but he can still swing the bat.
Well, Ricky Weeks' injury really hurt the Milwaukee Brewers because he was not only getting it done defensively, but he was swinging with impact in the leadoff position. Counsell getting on base, .382 on base percentage this year. And why is that important? Well, because we talked about those big sluggers, Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder. He needs to set the table.
And a guy who, if he can stay healthy and really put it all together, Oral, Adam Wainwright's got a chance to be a very special starting pitcher.
Could be an upper echelon type guy. 2 starts ago, he and Chris Carpenter, even though Chris was hurt, helped him out with some video work, found his arm slot was a little too high, and he's got a lot more action on his pitches over his last 16 2/3 innings, only 7 hits. He's doing really well now.
Only 2 runs and 14 strikeouts in those last 2 starts for Wainwright. as he starts Counsell with a strike, hitting .311 overall on the season. There's the on-base percentage that Steve was referring to. Joe Thurston at third, a couple of steps inside the bag against Counsell. The rest of the infielders backed up. And inside corner with a fastball as he jumps out in front 0-2. A look at the defense for Counsell now with 2 strikes. You can see Thurston backing up at third base, a couple of steps behind the bag. Counsell can hit first, second, hit down in the lineup, play 3 different positions, be a utility guy, play more of an everyday role when needed. Lays off the curveball.
You know, he's kind of a left-handed hitting David Eckstein. He takes a lot of pitches. He'll spoil the good pitches. He'll find a way to get a hit and get on base. He doesn't have the greatest tools in the game. Doesn't have great speed. Doesn't have great power. Doesn't have great throwing arm. But he's a baseball player, and you need a guy like that on your team.
Ken Maka certainly appreciates the value that Counsell has brought to the team this year. Another curveball, strike 3 called. Man, nasty stuff from Wainwright as he strikes out his first batter. Now look at the defense behind the big right-hander tonight. And again, the Cardinals still in the process of getting healthy. It's Duncan in left, Rasmussen center. Nick Savanoa is in right. Rick Ankiel is off the DL, not in the lineup tonight. Ryan Ludwig should be back on Friday. Joe Thurston, Khalil Green, Skip Schumacher, Albert Pujols around the infield, and Yadier Molina catching Wainwright tonight. 1 out, nobody on. Casey McGee, the second baseman, comes up for the Brewers. The fellow that Ken Maka says has made a real statement for Milwaukee. He wasn't playing much at all, but again with the injuries, most notably the one to Ricky Weeks, McGee's getting a chance to play. And that Weeks injury, I mean, there's never a good time, and you always feel sorry for somebody when they get hurt. But Weeks was really putting it all together this year. He was really starting to turn all of that potential into production this year for the Brewers. Suffers a wrist injury on a check swing in batting practice. A torn tendon sheath, an unusual injury. He had the same injury 3 years ago on his other wrist, and unfortunately for Weeks, he's out for the season.
A great guy for chemistry for their team. Not only the production that he was starting to put together consistently as an offensive player, the work he had put in spring training with the new coach Willie Randolph, and his defensive work was outstanding, but the energy and the work ethic at the top of the order that really set a tone for this Brewer club.
Shot to short. Khalil Green on to first in time, 2 down, and it's made Milwaukee a team that everybody wonders, will they be looking for some help on the infield? And our friendly neighborhood GM, as the evening progresses, will give us some names who might be out there. But Mark DeRosa's name seems to be coming up every day with respect to a different team these days.
Everybody has interest in him because if you need a first baseman, well, he's done that. You need a second baseman, a third baseman, he's done that. You need an outfielder, well, he's done that as well. And also a good chemistry guy, good character guy.
2 outs, nobody on, no score here in the bottom of the first, and the batter is Ryan Braun, having another terrific year. Finished 3rd in the National League in MVP balloting a year ago. Hitting over 300 this year, driving in runs, has had some success against Wainwright in his career. And again, there may be better duos in baseball right now than Braun and Fielder. You can certainly talk about a Mauer and a Morneau, the way that Mauer is swinging the bat right now. Talk about Utley and Howard, or Utley and Ibanez, the way that Ibanez is swinging the bat now for Philly. The way things are going now since Alex Rodriguez has come back, along with Mark Teixeira. There's some great tandems, but these 2 guys are in the conversation. And these 2 guys, I think, are younger than any of the top 2 hitters on any other team in baseball.
And when you have the ability to hit the ball to the ballpark consistently from multiple places in the order, you intimidate the opposing team. Because at any time you can either be back in the game or be on top or break a game open.
Curveball hit to short. Right at Green. And the inning is over. 3 up and 3 down for Wainwright. We are through an inning here at Miller Park. No score between the Brewers and the Cards. Back here in Milwaukee, a chance to remind you about Wednesday night baseball presented by Smirnoff Ice. Tomorrow night, it'll be the New York Yankees down in Arlington to face the Texas Rangers. And then don't miss ESPN Sunday night baseball presented by Taco Bell at 8 Eastern. The Dodgers are at Wrigley to take on the Cubs. Major League Baseball on ESPN and ESPN 360 tomorrow and Sunday nights. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Dan Schulman, Oral Hershiser, Steve Phillips with you here at Miller Park in Milwaukee. The first place Brewers, the second place Cardinals in a very important series. They've met 4 times this year, and Milwaukee has won all 4 games. As Colby Rasmus steps in, first pitch swinging, high drive, left center field, deep but playable on the track as Cameron and Braun almost collide out there. Cameron's got the baseball for the out.
Well, the center fielder has priority in the outfield. It's his outfield and he's in control. He's the captain of the outfield. When he calls it, it's his ball. But Ryan Braun really looked like he was underneath it there. He must not have been yelling, and Mike Cameron just cuts in front of him and makes the catch like he's a wide receiver. Now Cameron's yelling. You can hear him yelling. You can see him yelling right there. But Ryan Braun standing underneath probably couldn't hear him and still tried to make the play.
So Cameron, the center fielder, the veteran, the Gold Glover, making the catch in front of Braun as Rasmus is retired. And now with the one out, here's the St. Louis shortstop, Khalil Green. And it has been a very difficult start to the season for Green, the former San Diego Padre, who hit 27 home runs just 2 years ago. Struggled last year, had some injuries, didn't hit very well. Picked up by the Cardinals. They had very high hopes for him. He was their cleanup hitter on opening day. But Green has been plagued by a case of anxiety. Has been very, very hard on himself. It's affected the way that he has swung the bat and also the way that he's played in the field. And this is the first time he's gotten a start in about 10 days. Tony La Russa has used him only off the bench, the occasional pinch hitting experience opportunity to try to relax him a little bit. Let's get a Sports Center right now back in the studio.
Dan, the Sports Center right now presented by Sprint. Tom Brady practiced today with the Patriots, the first time since suffering last season-ending knee injury in Week 1. He's confident he'll be ready for the Pats opener against the Bills. And a day after the fact, the NBA assessed Nugget guard Dante Jones a flagrant 1 for tripping Kobe Bryant in Game 4 yesterday. He'll play in Game 5. Sports Center after the game, guys.
All right, Dari, thank you very much. Back here in Milwaukee, no score, top of the second, 2 outs, nobody on for Nick Stavanoa. The Cardinal right fielder tried to check the swing on that big curveball, but he couldn't, says Paul Schreiber, the first base umpire.
Hey, look, see where the barrel of the bat ends up. Yeah, that's out front. He committed, huh, Steve?
He did. That's a strike. They got it right.
Suppan out in front 0-2. Stavanoa was up briefly with the Cardinals last year, hit over 330 at AAA last year, and although he hasn't hit for much of an average, he's driven in key runs at important times for Tony La Russa and the Cardinals. He may be on borrowed time right now with Ryan Ludwig due to come back from his hamstring injury on Friday against the Giants.
Yeah, I talked to Ryan Ludwig today in the locker room. Had him as a player when I was a Texas Rangers pitching coach, and he was very confident he'd be ready. He's almost ready now, he said, but he's just got to take the time in the DL.
Saw Ankiel sitting alongside Ludwig. That's Ankiel right beside him. Ankiel with that scary crash into the fence in left center with neck and shoulder discomfort. He came back. He's played a game. Then he sat out yesterday. He's not in the lineup tonight, but by Friday, the Cardinals think that he will be back to 100%. And what a boost it would be for the Cardinals to get both Ankiel and Ludwig back on a regular basis, give Albert Pujols a little more protection. There are injuries every now and again where you look at them and you just cringe. You're very fearful for what could happen to the player, and this Ankiel injury was one of those.
It's an unbelievable effort, but he stumbles as he gets to the wall, and you cringe every time you see it. And he hits the wall, and you can see the way his head hits, and he bends his neck back. And fortunately, it wasn't a much more serious injury, as he gives the thumbs up as he was getting carted off, and thumbs up that he's going to be back and playing very soon.
Stavanoa drills one to deep left field and gone. A home run for Nick Stavanoa, and the Cardinals take a 1-0 lead here in the second inning.
First major league home run. He did a good job almost pushing this ball off of his body. It was an inside pitch that he really had a crocodile arm to get the barrel of the bat on it. You see the fastball inside. It's off the plate. You see he really rotated quickly, pulled his hands inside. Boy, he just tucked them and used his hips to get that ball out and got the ball right on the barrel of the bat.
So the Cardinals take a 1-0 lead in the first major league home run for Stavanoa. See if they can get him back that baseball somehow here in Milwaukee. And here's Adam Wainwright with the pitcher again hitting in the 8th spot in the Cardinal lineup. Something that Tony La Russa has done more recently this year. And again, the reason behind it is to have a position player hitting ninth in an effort to have more men on base in front of Albert Pujols. So tonight, Joe Thurston, the third baseman, will bat ninth. Everybody's got a different opinion on the subject, but it's something that Tony La Russa has done a lot in recent years. 0-2 curveball bounced foul.
I mean, I actually like it. I mean, it's logical. It makes sense. And you know, the argument against it, one of the arguments against it is that the pitcher now will get more plate appearances during the course of the year, batting in the 8th spot, than a position player will, whoever that is, in the 9th spot. But getting guys on base in front of Pujols forces the opposition to pitch to him.
And as much as you pinch hit for the pitcher, and usually in today's day and age they don't go past 7 innings, that last at bat's a pinch hitter anyway, so Tony can then fill in whoever he wants in that 8th hole because the pitcher's there.
Grounded to short. And the inning is over. But Nick Stavanoa with his first major league home run. The Cardinals take a 1-0 lead. Prince Fielder will lead it off for the Brewers when we come back. Rarest of all plays, the unassisted triple play. John Miller calling a couple of them on ESPN over the years, and help us celebrate 20 years of Major League Baseball on ESPN by going to ESPN.com and voting for our 20th year All-Star team. Go to the MLB page and vote on the players you think have been All-Star caliber. We'll announce the winners in the second half of the season. Bottom of the second, 1-0 Cardinals after the first major league home run by Nick Stavanoa, right fielder for St. Louis. Here's a guy who knows a thing or two about home runs. Prince Fielder. He's got 10 of them already this year, and he is second in the National League in RBIs with 42. As he checks the swing, and he takes low, 2 balls, no strikes from Adam Wainwright. And Fielder, and this is something that has really filtered all the way through the Milwaukee lineup. They never hit for that great of an average. They always strike out a lot. They do have a lot of power. They have for a number of years. The biggest difference this year, and we're seeing it now, they are taking pitches, they are drawing walks.
Well, Dale Swaim, the hitting coach who managed at the end of the year last year to take them into the playoffs, but that he has come in as the hitting coach and he's changed the philosophy. He wants patience and discipline.
3-0 green light never hurts every now and again as Fielder rips one into right center. And he's on base with a leadoff single.
And what they found is that the home run numbers are going to continue to be there because they find themselves in hitters counts, the 2-0, 3-1 counts, where you can zone for a pitch or look for a particular pitch and try to drive it, and it's paid off. And I think that what Ken Maka, the manager, said is it's pervasive. Everybody's talking the same thing. It's not just Dale Swaim. It's the manager, the pitching coach, the bench coach. Everybody's preaching discipline.
And here's Mike Cameron. Cameron is walking more than he did last year. His batting average is higher than it typically is. He's hitting .285 on the season. Already got 9 home runs, all of them solo shots, incidentally. Got Fielder at first, nobody out. Bottom of the second, the Brewers down 1-0. This is a fairly young Milwaukee team. The core of this team, Oral, with Fielder and Braun and Giovanni Gallardo and so forth, they are young and they are homegrown, but you sprinkle in a Mike Cameron and a Craig Counsell and a Trevor Hoffman this year, and there's some good veteran leadership on this team as well.
That's a good mix when the veterans are inspired by the youth and the youth are guided by the veterans.
Base hit through the left side for Cameron, and Milwaukee's got 2 on with nobody out as we check in with Darinoka.
All right, Dan, let's stay in the NL Central Division. Pirates and Cubs. This one presented by Nicorette. Kosuke Fukudome takes Ian Snell deep in the first. Cubs, of course, trying to break an 8-game losing streak. They lead the Pirates 1-0. Astros trying to break a 5-game losing streak. They are scoreless right now with Roy Oswalt on the hill against Micah Owings and the Reds. They are in the third. We'll keep you posted on these games and others all night, guys.
All right, Dari, thank you. Micah Owings, arguably, maybe not even arguably, the best hitting pitcher in baseball. Did a game in Cincinnati yesterday. You look at the game notes that we have tonight for St. Louis and Milwaukee. I've never seen this before. They list Owings as a pitcher and as a position player in their game notes. He's listed on the bench. They have hitting notes for him. He is an absolutely unbelievable hitter. He's got a base hit tonight and a ton of power, not just a shoot the ball the other way kind of guy.
Well, he's one of the pinch hitters for Dusty Baker. I mean,
yes.
He goes to him in a situation where he needs somebody to drive in a run. He gives some at bats to Mike Owings.
Milwaukee threatening here in the bottom of the second, trailing 1-0. This is a rematch from 10 days ago between Adam Wainwright and Jeff Suppan, and that was a tremendous game, a great pitchers duel. The game won 1-0 by Milwaukee, and it was a home run off Wainwright by the man at the plate right now, Corey Hart. That was the only run of the game. So Milwaukee's got 4 wins over St. Louis this year, and 2 of them have been by a score of 1-0. Throw down to first, and they back in with a dive is Cameron. You got to feel for a guy like Wainwright to pitch as well as he did against Milwaukee 2 starts ago, 10 days ago, and to get stuck with a loss. You probably had a couple of these in your career.
Yeah, it's not fun at all, but you know what? The good thing for him is he knows he's back and pitching well. When we talked about Adam Wainwright and Chris Carpenter having a little film session, and all of a sudden they lowered his release point or his arm slot 4 to 5 inches. That's a huge amount for a pitcher. And all of a sudden there's more depth on his pitches, there's more accuracy on his pitches, and even a little velocity. So he got up a little too high, and that old saying, you know, pitching coaches in Little League and high school and college a lot of times want to keep getting you higher and higher in your arm slot. Sometimes it locks you up.
Let me ask you this about Adam Wainwright.
On the appeal on that swing, Paul Schreiber says that Hart went around and he is gone.
Well, that's a huge pitch right there. As far as that's a slider off the plate, he gets a check swing. Looks like he's still going to be in a jam with first and second and no out. And then you get that called strike. And compared to the last one, they're ringing up the right-handers that are taking the barrel that far.
Well, I think the bat went out there, and his hands went certainly out further. He tried to fight to keep the bat head back.
So 2 on with 1 out now for the hero of yesterday, Bill Hall, a guy who's really been struggling, but came up with a game-winning hit in the 10th inning. Took a 2-1 slider the other way to right center for a game-winning RBI single. He had been 1 for his last 28 before that hit. So Bill Hall needed a base hit. And especially with guys like Weeks and Hardy out, Milwaukee needs everybody else to produce. They need some offense from Hall, who has struggled in particular against righties, hitting well under 200 against righties this year.
As Adam Wainwright, we saw the leadoff hit from Prince Fielder in this inning. Leadoff hitters in innings hitting .309 against them, but with runners on base only hitting .205. What does that tell you about a pitcher, Earl?
Well, you know, he's probably trying to attack the zone with nobody on base and maybe using too much of the plate, especially when he wasn't confident in his stuff. But it seems like when he's backs against the wall, he can make some pitches. And he's got great secondary stuff. I mean, his slider and his curveball are devastating. They're the kind of pitches that you can know they're coming and they're still hard to hit. And that's when you know you have an above average big league pitch.
Keep an eye on Prince Fielder here as he leads off. He was kind of shifting earlier, almost looking like he was trying to give location to Bill Hall. Not on the last pitch, but the one before on the fastball away. It's like stepping back toward the bag. Sometimes that's a sign that the pitch is going away.
Pitch was away. Now how common is that? What percentage of the time do you think a runner at second's relaying location?
A lot. They are trying to do it a lot, and the intelligence level of the guys on the base and the guy at the plate. And usually it's not about can the guy on second pick up the signs. It's about does the hitter really want it, and is the pitcher hitting his spots? Because you don't want signs when all of a sudden you've got a wild pitcher, so the guy gives it to you away and the pitcher misses a spot in, you get jammed.
A breaking ball hit into right center field. Stavanoa will make the catch for the second out, and the runners cannot advance.
I think for Bill Hall, as much as he's been struggling, especially against right-handers, we talked about that. I think any help he can get, but he gets the breaking ball, and he kind of stopped halfway through a swing. He was geared up for fastball, then like, oh, it's a curveball, and he ended up having a fight to stay back, but couldn't put a good enough swing on it to drive the ball into the gap.
Talking the at-bat over with Ryan Braun back in the dugout. It's amazing. It's still coming in at 75 miles an hour, but you can see how he stopped, started, stopped again, and then started. I mean, the recognition time and the bat speed on these guys is incredible. There's a curveball that misses just outside to Jason Kendall.
Well, we, in our Sunday game in Minnesota, we were able to kind of show that reaction time, that it's less than half a second as the ball leaves the pitcher's hand to get to the catcher on an 88-mile-an-hour fastball. But, you know, part of that time is recognizing the pitch, and then you have to start your swing. So many decisions go on in a hitter's mind. You know, he sees the ball coming out of the hand, then he's got to recognize, is it a fastball or an off-speed pitch? And then he has to recognize, is it a ball or is it a strike? And then he's got to continue with the swing and have time within that half a second to get the bat into the zone to drive the ball. It is the toughest thing to do in sports.
2-1 the count on Kendall.
The thing that young hitters really forget is that you start the swing or start the load while the pitcher is in his delivery, and so much of that information process of a hitter at a young age they don't do soon enough. So many coaches try and say stay back, wait. Well, really it's start early and get your load over with, get your front foot down, and then be ready to hit.
On the outside corner, and it looks like a fairly wide strike zone tonight on that side of the plate, at least, Oral, for Paul Nart, the umpire.
Well, that little cutter slider at 86. Late movement for the hitter and for the umpire.
Kendall will give it up at the plate if he can get it back for his pitcher, but he's got to protect that corner right now with a count 2-2. Did he keep the bat back? Yes, he did. And we can compare this one to the last one we saw, as it looks like the wrist didn't break that time for Kendall.
Well, he kind of turns and walks into the check swing. Watch him check it, and then he kind of walks into it, step into it to try to keep that bat back. I think they got that one right as well, as he did keep that bat head back behind the plate.
Yeah. The aggressiveness of the body is not a swing.
Runners are going on the 3-2, and a weak ground ball hit to short. Charged by Green off the heel of his glove. Everybody is safe. And the struggles continue for Khalil Green. And we talked about the anxiety, how Tony La Russa had held him out of the lineup for over a week. This is his first start since the 17th of May. And in the second inning, he has a problem.
Well, you're pulling for the young man because when it's anxiety, it's a personal thing and you hope, but that just clanks off the thumb and the heel of the glove right there. And who knows why. The head was down. You can be looking at it, but still not see it.
It's a guy with a lot of talent. Did some good things for San Diego. Just outside, ball one now to Jeff Suppan. But Khalil Green, and he's the first to admit it, he is really fighting things emotionally right now, is very hard on himself when he makes an error or when he goes 0 for 4. Swing and a miss, 1-1.
Well, you think about what the center fielder Rick Ankiel went through. So Khalil Green's got a teammate to talk about. You know, Rick Ankiel went through the yips on the mound and actually had to transfer positions and remake his career, and hopefully it won't get to that point with Khalil. Ankiel hurt right now and on the bench, but he'll be back out there in center field soon.
And by all accounts, Albert Pujols has really tried to do what he can with Khalil Green, taking him under his wing and spends a lot of time with him away from the stadium during batting practice. And it's a collective effort right now in this Cardinal organization to try to help out Khalil Green.
Tony La Russa said that he was just going to treat him like a utility player, like a role player, to try to not give him the pressure of having to show up every day to play, trying to work himself through it so he can start to rebuild his confidence and get him to smile and enjoy the game a little bit.
The air has prolonged the inning. Suppan with a high fly ball to left center. Plenty of room for Rasmus, and the inning is over as the Brewers leave them loaded here in the bottom of the second. Welcome back to Miller Park here in Milwaukee. The roof is closed here tonight, a little bit cool here in the state of Wisconsin. The Cardinals lead the Brewers 1-0 as we go to the top of the third, the fifth meeting of the season between these two teams. The Brewers have won the first 4. In fact, they have won 11 of 12 from St. Louis, dating back to last season. The Brewers making the playoffs last year for the first time since 1982, and with high hopes that they can do it again this season in spite of the losses of CC Sabathia and then Ben Sheets in the offseason. Joe Thurston, the Cardinal third baseman and number 9 hitter, with Adam Wainwright hitting 8th tonight. Thurston is part of a platoon at third base with Brian Barden. Troy Gloss is out with a shoulder injury. The Cardinals don't know if they're going to get him back this season. They might not. And if they don't, they might start looking for something else, because Thurston and Barden have struggled this year, although there's a base hit by Thurston to get him started here in the third.
Well, that's one of the reasons why they're batting a position player in the 9th spot in the lineup, because the idea being that they want to get base runners on in front of Albert Pujols, who is starting the inning coming up 4th.
So you guys talked about it a little bit an inning ago. Are you on board with the strategy that Tony La Russa is using, with the philosophy behind it?
You like it after the first time through the order, that's for sure, because you get one more guy up there, and then they have to pitch to him.
There's Skip Schumacher, who grounded out in the first inning.
The reason I like it because it's Albert Pujols. I'm not sure it's the right thing for every team and every lineup, but Albert Pujols is so special. He's so different, and they have so little protection behind him that the only way to really get the opposition to pitch to him is to have runners on base. If you get guys on base in front of him, so that logic plays into the idea that you're your best team as the Cardinals when they have to throw Pujols strikes.
It's something that Tony La Russa started when Mark McGwire was with him. McGwire also hit third most of the time. Another way around it is to have Pujols hit fourth, and then the pitcher hit ninth, and then just your normal leadoff hitter, but then you're reducing the number of plate appearances for Albert Pujols. So there are pros and cons to each strategy.
For every position in the batting order you move somebody down, at the end of the year they lose 20 at bats.
Runner is going. Pitch in the dirt, bounces away from Kendall, and into second with the stolen bases, Thurston.
You think about 20 games a year where Albert Pujols is in the on-deck circle compared to coming up to the plate. That's a lot of games for the St. Louis Cardinals. Watch this little ball get away. Just kind of scooted out over there, and you get credit for a stolen base because he was running. So it's not a wild pitch or a pass ball.
Albert Pujols, by the way, is also, in addition to everything else, the Cardinal leader in stolen bases this year. He's got 7. Nobody else on the team has more than 3.
His career high is 16. He's tearing it up.
Schumacher will advance the runner with a ground ball to the right side. So Duncan will come up. Pujols will move out into the on-deck circle. And so many amazing things about Albert Pujols. Look at the 70s. Rod Carew had the best batting average of anybody in that decade. Wade Boggs the best batting average of anybody in the 80s. Tony Gwynn in the 90s. 3 phenomenal hitters, 3 Hall of Famers. Albert Pujols has the highest batting average of anybody in this decade. The one big difference, of course, between Pujols and those 3 hitters, as great as they were, is this guy can hit the ball a mile and does it with regularity.
How about averaging 40 home runs a season? I mean, that is a significant difference between Albert Pujols and those other guys. I mean, most guys who hit for that high of an average, are the guys who hit from line to line. They don't have that kind of power. The more contact hitters. The fact that Pujols is a contact hitter, he certainly walks far more than he ever strikes out. He might hit more home runs than he ends up striking out this year.
Right now it's 14 home runs, 14 strikeouts for Albert Pujols. He's the second toughest batter in the National League to strike out this season.
And this is the other side of the coin right here. Chris Duncan is in the rocking chair today. We talk about who's going to protect Albert, but here we have a man on third. You could set up a double play by walking up Duncan, but no, not in this situation with Pujols. So he sits there and he protects Duncan. That is the rocking chair in the St. Louis lineup.
Let me ask you guys about the infield being in the 3rd inning for Milwaukee. Surprised this early? Or is this a compliment to Adam Wainwright in the way that he's pitched in the first couple of innings?
I'm a little bit surprised because I don't want to start a big inning because a ground ball gets through here on a routine base hit that could have been an out and scored a run, pitched to Albert with 2 outs and nobody on.
Yeah,
I think it's a big risk.
I'm walking Albert Pujols. I mean, I think that if he comes up, if Duncan's on and you've got the runner at third base, I'm walking Albert Pujols. I'm not going to pitch to him anyways. So I'd rather just go at Duncan right here and be as aggressive as you can and then put Pujols on base. So I'm a little bit surprised that they're in as well. They need to get outs before they get to Albert Pujols.
3-1 the count on Duncan. And there's ball 4. So now here comes Pujols with runners at first and third. There was a great moment at Busch Stadium in St. Louis a few days ago. Albert Pujols demolishing a Sean Marshall pitch and literally knocked the eye out of the Big Mac sign up on the facing of the 3rd deck at Busch Stadium. And Tony La Russa said, you know what, I hope they don't fix it. Just leave it right there so everybody can see what Albert Pujols did.
Well, he made his own marking. Most of the time you hit a seat and then they paint the seed and put the date and the distance on it. He got the eye.
One to nothing Cardinals, top of the 3rd. First and third, 1 out for Pujols, caught looking by a Suppan curveball back in the 1st inning. First pitch swinging and a fly ball to deep left. Braun back, makes the catch on the track. Thurston will tag and score. Sac fly for Pujols. RBI number 39 on the season. 2-0 Cardinals.
Well, Suppan has kept him in the ballpark when he's faced him, and this one you go, whoa, did he just miss it? And he thinks he got it, but here with the dome closed a little bit, ball not carrying. Braun's got a shot at just a sac fly, Albert.
And the 9-hitter scores the run. Again, I think that's why I think it makes some sense the way Tony La Russa does bat the pitcher 8th to give Pujols the opportunity with a position player, better chance getting on.
Here's Yadier Molina. Pops it up back of the plate, and Kendall could not find it in time to go back and make a play on it.
Jason Kendall got a late break on that ball right there. Didn't realize it was popped straight back and going to stay in play. Say just now breaking, but that ball was up there for a little while. It would have been an outstanding play if he got it, but he'd had to realize right away he had a shot.
Kendall, one of the veteran catchers, still playing a lot in the major leagues, and Yadier Molina, one of the great young catchers in baseball. These are two of the mainstays on their respective teams. Molina last year hit over 300, won his first Gold Glove. Kendall just recently surpassed 2,000 career hits. One of the few catchers in Major League history to reach that mark. He is the 8th. Kendall is the 8th player to play over 1,000 games as a catcher and to surpass 2,000 hits. And Yadier Molina, of course, with his cannon of an arm, 300 average last year, Gold Glove, one of the rising stars behind the plate in baseball. Pulled foul. Time now to take a look at who is a cut above the rest so far this season. Brought to you by the Home Depot and Jason Kendall. He started 149 games last year, and plain and simple has been the most durable catcher in baseball over the last 7 seasons.
Well, he's a comfort for this young pitching staff. Lost Sabathia, lost Sheets. First-year pitching coach Bill Castro, 17 years as their bullpen coach. His first year, you have a veteran catcher like Jason Kendall behind a plate. That is a good thing for you.
Chopper to second. McGee, plenty of time. Inning over. Pujols drives in a run on a sac fly. 2-0 Cardinals. Ryan Braun. We will see him coming up at the bottom of the 3rd. Welcome back to Milwaukee with Steve Phillips and Oral Hershiser. I'm Dan Schulman. 2-0 the Cardinals lead the bottom of the 3rd. When you think Milwaukee, one of the first things you think of is brats. They're available all over the ballpark. Of course, we'll have the critically acclaimed sausage race later on tonight. You guys are going down, right? I'm going to lose you for a half an inning. You guys are heading down there?
Yeah, heading down.
I pay money. Bulldog, I pay money to see you down there.
Big head on
the costume.
That would be, baby. Get the Bulldog down there. What would you take? What would you be? The Italian sausage? What would you?
Well, for Tommy Lasorda, probably the Italian sausage.
There's a line drive base hit the other way for Craig Counsell to get it started here in the bottom of the 3rd.
Craig Counsell, outstanding contact hitter. You see they set up away. He goes the other way. That changeup kind of stayed up in the zone a little bit, gets the foot down, stays back, does a nice job, lets the ball get deep into the zone, and just punches it in to left field. Good piece of hitting. It helps having the third baseman pulled in, too.
Well, the leadoff man aboard for the second time in as many innings. The Brewers eventually loaded the bases last inning with 2 outs, but couldn't get anything home. Here is Casey McGee, the batter, with Ryan Braun in the on-deck circle right now. And McGee takes low, ball 1.
Well, Dan, you talked about the Brewers and the loss of Ricky Weeks and what are they going to do at second base. And, you know, right now they're just saying we're going to handle and fill it from within with Craig Counsell and Casey McGee. And what's happened is they really like Casey McGee. He's swinging the bat very well since he's gotten the opportunity to play on a regular basis. He's got a little Ty Wigginton look to him, both physically, the way he stands in and swings the bat. I mean, they'll take the 20-plus home runs if he can do that like Wigginton. But, you know, sometimes when there's an injury, it turns into an opportunity for a young guy to get the at-bats to really show he can get it done at the major league level.
There's some unsigned veteran players, guys like Ray Durham and Mark Rezolanic, who are out there, but so far nobody's made a move in that direction. We mentioned that Mark DeRosa's name is coming up all around baseball because he can play so many different positions. 2-1 the count on McGee.
Well, one of the things they're saying for Mark DeRosa, the Indians, if they do move, are looking for pitching depth and prospects back. That's really not the strength of the Milwaukee Brewers system. They've spent their draft picks, the top picks, on position players and had great success in doing so.
They were talking big league pitching too, not as much prospects as big league ready or already there.
And there aren't really going to be a lot of, I think, second basemen available on the trade market. We're going to talk a little bit about availability for players throughout this game. But second base, the one question is, would Dan Uggla be available from the Florida Marlins?
Three and one. Now some trouble here for Wainwright, the leadoff man aboard. He's fallen behind McGee. Ryan Braun's in the on-deck circle, and Prince Fielder's behind him.
Well, that changeup, that 0-1 changeup to Counsell was up, and since then he's really concentrated hard on keeping the ball down and just missing 2-3 inches down or just a little bit outside. He's made an adjustment. You like to see that.
Full count.
Now, Earl, we talked about how the leadoff hitters have had success against Wainwright. Is it something about his windup, coming out of the windup to pitch?
It could be. You know, the ball being up there, that windup, he takes his hands over his head, and maybe he's flying apart a little bit. The ball's coming out level, and he's not driving it downhill. But definitely from the stretch as a pitcher, you feel more compact and you drive it downhill.
Counsell is running. The pitch taken outside for ball four. Throw into center field, and Counsell will take third. So Yadier Molina had to react quickly. He just fired the ball to second before he knew. Was it strike three or ball four? Threw it into center field. Charge him with an error.
A little breaking ball slider trying to get a strike him out, throw him out, and you end up throwing a ball. It kind of pulls it wide. Yadier knows it's a ball, but he wants to go through with the play just in case he gets a strike out of it. And because he was high and wide there with the throw, you got first and third.
And you see Molina hanging his head a little bit, like disappointment in himself. He understands that he's one of the best defensive catchers in the game. You see the frustration and anger at himself there. That's not typical Cardinal baseball.
So first and third, nobody out, and now here come the sluggers for the Brewers, beginning with Braun.
Well, we talk about protection in the St. Louis lineup and sitting in the rocking chair. Prince Field in the on-deck circle. Adam Wainwright knows he's there right now, trying to get Ryan Braun. He's one quality pitch away from 2 outs.
But against a very dangerous hitter who had 34 home runs as a rookie, 37 last year. You look at the most home runs in the first 2 seasons of a player's career in the history of baseball. And Ryan Braun is right up there with some of the all-time greats. And keep this in mind about Ryan Braun. He did not come to the big leagues as a rookie until May 24th. So missing the first 7 weeks of the season as a rookie, he still hit 34 home runs. He upped that to 37 last year, drove in 106. He's got 8 home runs so far this year. And he is one of the big reasons why the Brewers have done so well, have drawn so well the last couple of years. Takes it high, 2 balls and a strike. He also probably is not the guy who's the #1 favorite of the St. Louis Cardinals. Braun, he gets emotional if there's a big moment. If he comes up with a game-winning hit, he's not afraid to enjoy the moment. And some of the Cardinals have taken offense to that over the last couple of years, not just with Braun. The term that was discussed out on the field today was the youthful exuberance of the Milwaukee Brewers. They'll celebrate, and the Cardinals a little bit more low-key. Foul it off 2-2.
Well, celebrations don't bother me at all. I think we're in the entertainment business, and Steve, we talked about this, that the celebrations, the fans celebrate when something good happens on the field. They love it even when the players celebrate, and it's usually, as long as it's not rubbing in the face of the opponent and it's just a celebration.
Anything short of a triple Salchow, I'm okay with celebration. I mean, come on, they're entertainers. They're having fun. They've got emotion when they play the game. I mean, I personally don't mind when guys pump their fist and point to the sky. I mean, they're just showing the emotion and that they care about the game.
Two balls, 2 strikes, the count on Braun. 2 on, nobody out. And it hit him. Ran in and hit him in the arm, it looks like. on that two-seam fastball, and Wainwright has loaded the bases with nobody out.
Well, it seems like every batter that Wainwright has faced this inning, he's one pitch away from getting out of it, but he's actually burying himself and putting himself in holes and make himself have to make a pitch. And right there, he's trying to get inside on Braun, trying to make a pitch to get him out, runs it too far in and too far up. And again, the inning starts to get away from him with no damage yet. But quality pitch after quality pitch, and then one mistake, and all three guys are on.
Already the 8th time this season that Braun has been hit. He's at first, McGee at second, Counsell at third, nobody out. Fielder the batter. Chopped weakly to the left side. Tough throw and out at first. A good play by Khalil Green there to get Fielder at first, but a run will come in to score.
Well, a play that resembled the one that he had earlier where he made the error, and this one he comes through for his team. It's a stepping stone for the young man dealing with a little bit of the anxiety out there, but looking to make a big play. I'm sure most of the Cardinals have their heart in their throats right here, but Khalil comes through and is helping Wainwright maybe get through this inning.
That's not an easy play as he's fielding the ball. His momentum carrying him to the third base dugout to throw back across his body, but got it just close enough for Albert Pujols to stretch and make the play.
So runners at second and third, one out. Now 2-1 for the Cardinals. Mike Cameron the batter. First pitch swinging. He pops it up in a very shallow right field. Schumacher will make the catch, and no opportunity for McGee at third base to try to score. That's a big out for Adam Wainwright.
I tell you what, Mike Cameron is a first pitch fastball hitter, and one of his weaknesses is going after the high fastball. But this is a high breaking ball, but I think he starts after it because he thinks he's going to get what he likes, that high fastball. And then the breaking ball hangs and he pops it up into right field. If you think about Cameron in that scouting report, loves the high fastball. Oh, it's a high pitch, I'm going to go after it. Oh, it's a breaking ball, and he just kind of slows his bat head down and pops it up.
So now 2 in scoring position with 2 outs. First pitch swinging. Corey Hart bounces one foul. A very aggressive Milwaukee team. We talked about how they are drawing more walks, but it seems like with the runners on base, they're kind of reverting to form here and getting aggressive, maybe a little bit over aggressive.
Well, you know, a lot of times with runners in scoring position, I don't mind a hitter getting a little bit more aggressive because the pitcher knows he has to throw it over the plate. He can't nibble off the corners. He has to be aggressive. But Wainwright, this is the situation where he's been nails this year. 2 outs, runners on base, a 152 opponent's batting average. This is where he makes his best pitches.
And you're talking about a guy, of course, in Wainwright, who as a rookie, out of necessity, became the closer for the St. Louis Cardinals and was absolutely sensational in the postseason when they won the World Series back in '06.
His teammate today is who he's facing in 2006. Jeff Suppan was a starter on that team.
Corey Hart fights it off. The count of 1-2. 10 days ago in St. Louis, same matchup. Wainwright, Suppan, scoreless game. Corey Hart, the batter, takes one the other way. A home run to right center field. The only run of the game, and a 1-0 win for the Brewers.
That was a fastball kind of down in the zone. I don't think Corey Hart's going to see another fastball in this at bat right here. I think he's going to get breaking balls, try to get him to chase it out of the zone.
Not one, and he fouls it back.
Yeah, Corey Hart's home runs are off this year. He's only has 4 so far this year, and you see the 1 home run off of Wainwright. He's been battling a sore thumb, which has taken some of his power, but still, hitters will tell you there's not always a day where their body feels perfect, but when there's something to do with their hands, that can really affect their power.
Pitch count is climbing for Wainwright. This will be his 60th pitch of the night. Curveball in the dirt, 2-2. They had 43,000 here yesterday at Miller Park. A sensational pitchers duel between Chris Carpenter and Giovanni Gallardo. Gallardo took a no-hitter into the 6th. Carpenter was perfect through 6. Milwaukee eventually winning 1-0 in 10 on a base hit by Bill Hall. Swing and a miss. A slider. Hart is gone. The inning is over. The Brewers get 1, but they could have had more off Wainwright. About that flagrant foul assessed retroactively to Dante Jones after the trip on Kobe, so we'll see how heated it is tomorrow. Deep fly ball to center. Back is Cameron, and he cannot make the catch. As Colby Rasmus takes Jeff Suppan deep to start the Cardinal fourth and make it 3-1 St. Louis.
That now makes 6 of the last 7 hits for Colby Rasmus, extra base hits. So this young guy's starting to get a feel for major league pitching and showing off the tools that the Cardinals long knew that he had. Finally coming into his zone. You see Kendall setting up away, a fastball up in the zone, and just stays behind it and drives it to arguably the deepest part of the ballpark. Mike Cameron, a great effort to try to make the play, but couldn't get to it. Talk about Cameron and what kind of athlete he is, tracking that ball, and he did everything he possibly could to try to get there, just beyond his reach, though.
So the Cardinals having some success against their former teammate Suppan, although a number of the guys didn't play with Suppan when he was there, like Rasmus. He was not yet in the big leagues, but Suppan has been virtually unhittable against the Cardinals as a Brewer. 5-0 with a 1.62 ERA in 6 starts. But Rasmus with a home run tonight. Stavanoa has a home run tonight, and St. Louis leads 3-1. Swing and a miss, and Green is gone. Let's go back to the studio. Here's Darinoka.
All right, guys, let's update Reds and Astros. Houston, losers of 5 in a row, had just taken a lead on the Reds, and then Lance Nix takes Roy Oswalt deep. 3-3 baseball game right now. Meanwhile, the Cubs in that 8-game losing streak looking good right now, up 3-0 on Pittsburgh. Sean Marshall pitching well for Chicago, guys.
And there's Nick Stavanoa, who last time up hit his first major league home run. Now he bounces out to short. 2 down. A quick thought on the Cincinnati Reds. Joey Votto with that inner ear disorder, in and out of the lineup. They're trying to figure out what's wrong. Brandon Phillips has a hairline fracture on the tip of his thumb. Those might be the 2 best players the Cincinnati Reds have, and they're heading into a stretch. They're coming here to Milwaukee next. Then they play the Cardinals. Then they play the Cubs. This is a critical stretch the next couple of weeks within this division. 2 outs, nobody on. Here's Adam Wainwright, who's now got a 2-run lead after the home run by Colby Rasmus. And Wainwright hits the ball to deep left center field and gone. A rocket off the bat of Wainwright. And it's 4-1 Cardinals.
I'll tell you what, bat him 8th, bat him 9th, bat him 4th. Where are you going to put him? The guy can really rip it. But that ball was scorched right there. I don't care if you're a regular everyday player or you're a pitcher. It's his 4th home run of his career. So we know he's got the power, and that's a pretty good swing. He stayed right in there, stayed down and through, rotated the hips. Boy, he had the right sequence and everything, Steve.
That's a good looking swing right there. Good athlete.
I don't want to hear you ever get on pitchers and hitting ever again.
Only you.
Okay.
So 2 home runs in the inning, 3 on the night for the Cardinals off Suppan. 4th career home run for Wainwright, who in his career is about a .280 hitter. Here's Joe Thurston, singled and scored last time up. That was last inning. Stavanoa, Rasmus, and Wainwright with home runs tonight for the Cardinals, who have been finding a way all season to get it done with call-ups and rookies. There's a ball lined toward the right field corner, an extra base hit for Thurston. It'll kick back well into fair territory. It'll be a 2-out double for Thurston, his 2nd hit of the game.
He went down and got that one, Joe Thurston. You see Jace Kendall set up away. That pitch thrown down and in to Joe Thurston, and he just turns on it, pulls it down the line, then hustles down the line. As the ball gets by Prince Fielder, it kicks off the wall down the right field line as Corey Hart was going to get it deeper into the corner, and he hits kind of a grading area there and comes back off again. Thurston made the turn and was looking for Jose Oquendo, the 3rd base coach, but got held up, and with 2 outs, probably the right move.
So the Cardinals continue to hit Suppan hard, and now back to the top of the order for Skip Schumacher with a runner at 2nd and 2 down. Thurston out there. Schumacher is 0 for 2, a couple of ground outs. I mean, you look at this lineup, and no disrespect to anybody who is in this lineup. They are all major league players, but no Troy Glaus, no Rick Ankiel, no Ryan Ludwig. And the Cardinals have been scuffling recently to score runs, but through the month of April they were one of the highest scoring teams in baseball. They're 26-19 as Seth McClung gets up in the Milwaukee pen. Tony La Russa is getting great mileage out of the call-ups, the rookies, the complementary players that he has on this team.
See, the thing is, you can't really feel sorry for the Cardinals because the Brewers will tell you their story. As we lost Ricky Weeks, J.J. Hardy's not in the lineup with back spasms. The Cubs will tell you, listen, we lost Aramis Ramirez. He's not there. Zambrano was out for a period of time. Now the Cincinnati Reds with Joey Votto.
Yep,
so the National League Central has been dinged up. And it really tests the depth of your organization, and you need those role players and your AAA insurance policies to come up and get the job done.
Line into right field, a base hit. Thurston around third, heading home. The throw from Hart up the line. The run will score. Schumacher takes second. 5-1 Cardinals.
Well, the offense is chiming in tonight because the pitching staff of the Cardinals have been carrying them of late. They've got the best ERA in the National League now, but right now the offense is coming through. That was a disappointing loss yesterday. Schumacher was part of that 1-0 loss in 10 innings, but today the bats have shown up, and even the pitcher is hitting. Wainwright with the home run.
And now here comes Ken Maka. And that could be all for Suppan, who's given up 2 home runs, a double, a single, and 3 runs in this inning. And there's the call. So that's going to be all for the veteran as he hands over the baseball, and will leave trailing 5-1 here in the 4th inning. Seth McClung will make his way to the game as Suppan gets booed off the field here in Milwaukee. Back in Milwaukee, Boys and Girls Clubs of America is the official charity of Major League Baseball, reaching more than 4 million kids worldwide. Together, they create a positive place for kids. Now, so far, not very positive for the Brewers here tonight, trailing 5-1. The Cardinals have hit 3 home runs, and they have knocked Jeff Suppan out of the game here in the 4th inning. And Suppan, who has pitched so well against his former team as a Brewer, that is not the case here tonight. He doesn't make it out of the 4th. And some ugly numbers tonight for Suppan, and he is responsible for Schumacher out at second base. Big right-hander Seth McClung comes in out of the Milwaukee pen to try to slow down the Cardinals.
Yeah, 4-seamer, throws hard, curveball and a slider, but he's been very hot over his last 12 outings, a .68 ERA, and he's well rested today. Last pitched on Friday. So he's in here to try and hold down the fort, give the offense a chance to get back in this game.
Chris Duncan will be the batter for the Cardinals. Duncan has singled and walked so far tonight. Adam Wainwright has homered this inning, one of 3 home runs tonight for St. Louis. 5-1 Cardinals in the 4th. A St. Louis win, and these two teams would once again be tied for top spot in the division. Duncan pops it up on the left side of the infield to end the inning as Counsell makes the catch. But 2 home runs this inning for the Cardinals to extend the lead. First pitch of the inning, Colby Rasmus, number 5 on the season, and then Adam Wainwright with a rocket. 5-1 St. Louis. Let's take a look now at our 1-A men's strikeout leaders for this week. We'll check out the National League strikeout leaders. Jake Peavy, who could have been a member of the White Sox had he so desired, leads the National League in strikeouts with 79. Javier Vasquez, Tim Lincecum, and Johan Santana right on his tail. For every strikeout this season, 1-A men's will donate $10 to the Prostate Cancer Foundation. To date, 1-A men's has raised over $91,000 this season. 5-1 Cardinals over the Brewers with Oral Hershiser and Steve Phillips. I'm Dan Schulman. Glad you're with us tonight here at Miller Park. Bill Hall leads off the inning for Milwaukee. Hit a fly ball to right field his first time up. Adam Wainwright is on the mound tonight for the Cardinals. Bernie Brewer, he's chomping at the bit, wants to get down that slide if Bill Hall can take one deep. Grooming himself, making sure he looks good in case he gets a little camera time tonight.
He's looking down, thinking to himself, we got CC Sabathia last year. What about Jake Peavy this year? Saw Jake Peavy had a chance to be traded to the Chicago White Sox, and he decided to turn that deal down.
Swing and a miss, and That is all for Hall. Fourth strikeout for Wainwright. Here's some of the guys that Mr. Phillips thinks could be traded in the next few weeks in the National League.
Well, these are all teams right now that are really struggling on the season. I think there's going to be an earlier trade market. We talked about Jake Peavy, but Nick Johnson, San Francisco Giants, New York Mets with issues at first base. He'd be a fit there. Chad Qualls with the Arizona Diamondbacks is to have an outstanding season there, not getting a lot of opportunities to save games. And I think that not a lot of closers out there. Houston Street, another quality reliever, a young guy with a good arm. Miguel Tejada really swinging the bat last year of his contract. Jack Wilson last year of his contract. And for most of these guys, pending free agents at the end of the season. So their teams, not likely to negotiate now with them where they may be able to get something in return. And I really do think it's going to be an active trade market. We saw the PV White Sox negotiations very early. With this economy, I think teams are going to make decisions that if we're out, let's cut our losses. And I think fans are going to accept it because they understand the pain of the economy right now.
So totally. The title of that graphic was all about early trade market, and you think that question mark is all because of the economy?
I think a big part of the economy, a lot of times, you wouldn't want to trade players early because you're going to try to sell more tickets and at least be competitive. But I think teams are looking at it now. There's a lot of clubs falling out of this race early. You got teams 9 games out of first place already, and we're not even through the month of May.
And last year, Milwaukee got Sabathia a little bit early, got 3 or 4 extra starts out of him. They didn't wait till the end of July. How about in the American League, Steve?
Well, the American League, Eric Bedard, the Seattle Mariners are trying to get back to 500, but in that division, Texas looks good. And we talked about Mark DeRosa and the impact he can have at multiple positions. Matt Holliday, a lot of talk about the Red Sox with interest in Matt Holliday. Aubrey Huff's a name that's been brought up both for the Mets, the Giants, the Red Sox as well. And Cliff Lee is an option year for 2010, but he's in the last year of his deal. A lot of teams would have interest in him, and Jared Washburn having a terrific season for Seattle as well.
Seth McClung getting in at bat, slicing one to left field. A pretty good running catch by Chris Duncan as the Brewers go in order. That brings us to the end of 4 here in Milwaukee with the Cardinals leading 5-1. He is generally acclaimed as the best player in baseball. Albert Pujols, year after year, hitting for average, hitting for power, driving in runs, now stealing some bases, playing defense, and leading this Cardinal team to the postseason more often than not. And he will lead off the 5th inning for St. Louis. He has struck out and had a sac fly tonight. And the new left fielder into the game, and now for Milwaukee, Frank Catalanato, who just came up from the minors. He was released by Texas near the end of the spring and just made his Milwaukee debut yesterday. So Ryan Braun is out of the game. We'll try to find out what that's all about. 5-1 Cardinals as we go to the top of the 5th, and McClung comes inside on Pujols.
That's first pitch coming in there on Albert. Remember, Ryan Braun got hit. When you hit one of the big boppers, sometimes they try and repay in this league. Protect your lineup, protect your own. Braun gets hit.
Right.
You're not going to be afraid to come in on Albert.
Inside again, ball 3.
That may be some explanation about Ryan Braun leaving this game, right? So that's always scary. I tell you, there's so many hitters. Saw Joe Mauer get hit in the hand on Sunday night after the great start he's gotten off to.
3-0 green light, and it's bounced foul. Well, we talked about him being thought of as the best player of the game. The Sporting News just ranked the top 50 players. They put a panel together which included Oral and Steve. And I don't know if you guys are willing to share. Did you vote? What were you asked exactly? Were you asked to rank 50 players?
You know what? I can't really remember. They gave us a list, and we were able to vote for 10, I think.
I think it was top 15.
10 or 15.
Top 15 players, and I picked Pujols as my top player.
Yeah, I'd picked Albert also. Just between the power and the average and everything he's done in the first 8 years of his career is absolutely amazing.
And if I didn't, because he did get picked first,
you did now?
I picked him up. Because they didn't show my vote, really, did they?
You know front runner Phillips, don't you, folks?
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he is the best player. I mean, and you know what? He's one of the hardest workers in the game, and you know, to have your star player be your hardest worker, it makes managing a team that much easier for Tony La Russa, because if Pujols does it, he can point to the 25th guy on the team and say, listen, our star is doing it, you get out there and do it as well.
Albert Pujols, by the way, was the only Cardinal in the top 50. Ryan Braun was the only Brewer ranked in the top 50. He, I believe, was number 32. Braun out of the game now, and Catalanato in at left field. Pujols at first. I'll tell you, a guy who's doing a pretty good impersonation of being something very close to the best player in baseball right now, and that's Joe Mauer in Minnesota. He has come back. He's got 11 home runs in 81 at-bats since coming off the disabled list. And with the work he does with the pitching staff, the all-round talent that he is, if he's not going to hit for that much power consistently, obviously, but if he adds power to his game, he's going to be right up there on the short list of the best players in the game.
Yeah, we did the game. Joe Mauer actually watching his swing, talking to him around the batting cage. Such a humble star. And at 26 years old, the man strength just coming on, and a perfect progression for an all-time hitter to really develop. Go from average to on base percentage.
Pujols running. Molina throws the bat at the ball. Pujols puts the brakes on. They've got him in a rundown, and the tag was applied. Before that, Pujols said he got around. The second base umpire, Ed Rapuano, had already called Pujols out, maybe telling Pujols he went out of the baseline there. Either way, he is out.
Well, you ought to hear Molina on a hit and run right there. Pujols, you're running not to get picked off, so it's not a stolen base jump, but looking for contact to try to get motion. Molina throws the bat at the ball, trying to make contact. Kendall comes up throwing, and this scares me if I'm with the Cardinals, because I don't want Albert Pujols in a rundown. He could turn an ankle. Remember, he had the plantar fasciitis a couple years ago with the sore foot. Here he tries to go around out of the baseline, and that's where Ed Rapuano quickly points out that he's out. He's out either way.
And I think people at home are going to wonder, when he runs on the grass, is he out of the baseline? You create your own baseline, and then from where you run, you have 3 feet either way. And so when he finally created his baseline, that inside track on the grass and on that edge, then when he tried to duck the tag and go deep into the dirt towards the right field side, that's when he came out of the baseline.
So a caught stealing for Pujols. 2-4 on the putout. 5-1 the Cardinals lead. Top of the 5th. 1 out, nobody on. And a 2-2 count on to Molina.
People watch that play and they think, well, the Cardinals made a mistake. That's not very good baseball. What was Albert Pujols doing? That's Tony La Russa trying to tack on runs. That's trying to create offense, trying to start Albert Pujols in motion, have Yadier Molina put the ball in play. Even if he grounds out, it means Pujols would be in scoring position, and then try to pick up and steal a run by the hit and run.
And they have to continue to play within their tools. Tony doesn't have the kind of lineup like the Brewers. He can just sit back and watch it and, guarantee we're going to get 3 to 7 runs tonight. He's got his 5, but he knows he wants to keep on going. And this is a key game. We're in May, the end of May, and we're talking about the 2 front-running clubs in the Central. So this is, double your pleasure as far as wins and losses when it's the team that you're going to take right down to the end.
Well, I think the other thing is, if you watched any of the highlights of the games from yesterday and the comebacks that teams made, tacking on runs is important, because, historical comebacks in baseball yesterday. The Indians coming back from, I guess, what, a 10-run deficit from Tampa Bay.
Down 10-4 going to the 9th.
San Diego had a great comeback in their game as well. What a story they've turned around. With 10 consecutive wins for them, I think it is.
The Yankees are having comeback wins of the century, the way they're coming back all year.
Again, the 3-2. And it's just off the corner for ball 4. Well, the guy we've been talking about tonight has gone deep. Darinoco will tell us about it.
All right, guys, let's talk about Mark DeRosa for the Indians. He's been mentioned in the broadcast for some trade talks, potentially. There he is, his 8th of the year, 2-run shot. Carlos Pena, though, for the Rays has hit his 16th of the year. Tampa still trails Cleveland 4-1 in the 7th.
And an opportunity to tell you we'll be in Cleveland on Monday night, 6 nights from now. The Yankees in Cleveland. That'll be our game next week. Monday Night Baseball here on ESPN. Mark DeRosa, Steve, of course, can play second, third, left, right. Good guy in the clubhouse, can swing the bat. So he figures to be in demand from a number of teams if the Indians decide to put him on the market.
I think the Mets right now could use him. He could play some first base for them as well. He could play some left field, second base. The Brewers obviously with a hole at second base. The San Francisco Giants are dying for offense.
Great jump and no throw, as Kendall couldn't come up with it cleanly. So Molina steals a base, his 3rd of the season.
Well, you get a good jump. You got a slow pitcher on the mound. You get Kendall trying to rush, and he didn't expect them. They're playing behind. It's an interesting topic, too, about when do you go, when do you stay, as far as when leads change. And we're still early in this game. We're not even close. I can't believe they were playing behind him. Especially when the Cardinals proved that they wanted to tack on with the hit and run earlier this inning.
Strike 3 called. Rasmus thought it was outside, but it's out number 2.
Well, Seth McClung's come in. He's trying to hold down the fort. Starts with a good fastball low down the middle. Kind of a hitter's pitch, then the fastball again. And he's got to be hiding the ball really well. 92 to 95 miles an hour. That one might have been a little wide.
More than a little.
Okay.
Let me go back to that stolen base. I mean, again, that's Cardinals baseball. And when you manage against Tony La Russa, you have to, I would anticipate he's going to try things. You play the first baseman behind him and give Yadier Molina a running start on a stolen base. It's worth a shot. It's worth trying to do it to pick up that extra run. You can take chances with a 5-1 lead. And Yadier Molina already has 2 stolen bases this year.
Here's Khalil Green. He is flied out and struck out as Tony La Russa continues to play aggressive baseball. The Cardinals up 5-1. Green's also committed an error, but then followed up on that with a good defensive play. In the air down the right side, and it will get out of play. Tyler Green, a rookie infielder, was sent down by the Cardinals recently. They've got Brendan Ryan, who can play second and short. We were talking with the GM of the Cardinals, John Mozeliak, about some of the concerns they have. And as the season goes along, once Ludwig is back, and that'll be Friday, and Ankiel is ready to play on a regular basis, they might start looking at short or third if they need something a little bit more in the outfield. They need to get some kind of consistent play on the left side of the infield.
Well, you know they're rooting for Khalil Green because this is a bat they signed and was hoping that was going to really be an impact bat for him.
I mean, you could see a Mark DeRosa fitting at third base for the Cardinals. A lot of talk, and there's been speculation over the last couple years about Jack Wilson, the shortstop for the Pirates, that he'd be a fit to play shortstop here in St. Louis. I think the big question is how much money do the Cardinals have to make trades? Remember, they cut payroll by $22 million from last year to this year.
There's ball 4. I think there's a perception, if you look at, say, these 2 organizations, St. Louis and Milwaukee, that maybe the Cardinals are more of a so-called bigger market team than Milwaukee, but the Brewers have been very aggressive going out and getting people. The Sabathia trade is a perfect example, and signing Suppan away from St. Louis a couple of years ago.
Well, they made some bold steps. I mean, the Sabathia move was, look, we haven't been to the playoffs since, I guess it was 1982, I think, last year, and it was a chance to reinvigorate the fan base, and it worked. I mean, the fans have come out supporting this team, but now they're having to try to piece it together, and they gave away an awfully big chip in Matt Laporta last year.
As Steve mentioned, the first time the Brewers went to the postseason since 1982. And they were close the year before, but didn't make it. Started off as the Seattle Pilots. Anybody who read the book Ball 4, Jim Bouton, he was a member of the Seattle Pilots for most of that '69 season. They played there only 1 year. Moved to Milwaukee in 1970. Some great players. Hall of Famers Paul Molitor, Robin Yount, Raleigh Fingers, of course, all did the bulk of their work with the Milwaukee Brewers. But just that one playoff appearance, or a long gap. They were there in '81, the strike season, a split season. They were there again in '82, and then they didn't make the playoffs until last season. So a huge drought was snapped last year. And there was such great excitement here in the last few weeks of the regular season a year ago as the young, talented Brewers, with CC Sabathia throwing shutouts, pitching on short rest, doing whatever was asked of him, hoping to lead Milwaukee into the postseason.
And CC then leveraged that into the big contract with the Yankees. The Brewers took their short-term shot, and then the Yankees will benefit on the long-term possibly.
But from a Milwaukee perspective, completely worth it.
Yeah. And maybe a Cliff Lee will show up here if Milwaukee stays in it. Maybe it'll be somebody like that.
They gave up a good young player in Matt Laporta, among others, to Cleveland to get Sabathia. Grounded to third. And the inning is over. 3 walks given up in the inning, but no runs. Still 5-1 Cardinals. MLB.TV, the ultimate baseball experience, featuring 100 out-of-market games per week live on your computer. For more details, visit MLB.TV, where baseball is always on. Bottom of the fifth here in Milwaukee. The Cardinals 5, the Brewers 1. St. Louis with 3 home runs tonight, including the first major league home run by Nick Stavanoa. Adam Wainwright, the pitcher for the Cardinals, has also gone deep tonight as he starts Craig Counsell with a strike over the outside corner. It'll be Counsell, Casey McGee, and then Frank Catalanato. Ryan Braun has left the game with what we suspect is a forearm injury after being hit by a pitch. Stayed in another half inning before he left. If we get official word, we'll let you know as Counsell pops it back out of play. A strikeout and a base hit for the Brewers shortstop tonight. Ball and 2 strikes on Counsell, who, even though he still stands very upright in the batter's box, the bat is way lower than it used to be. He used to hold it about as high above his head as a human being can. He strikes out swinging. Strikeout number 6 for Wainwright. Back to the studio for an update.
All right, guys, how about Gary Sheffield? Mets in action, taking on the Nationals, up 3-1 in the 7th. That is a bullet from Sheff. 3-run shot, his 5th of the year. By the way, when this game's over, he's going to call in, be a guest on Baseball Tonight on ESPN2. That show starts at 10 Eastern. Meanwhile, Astros trying to snap out of a 5-game losing streak. Cubs out of an 8-game losing streak. Both Houston and Chicago are leading, guys.
All right, thank you, Dari. Meanwhile, a screamer hit by McGee down to third. The catch made by Thurston for out number 2.
How about Gary Sheffield? Hit a home run in the game yesterday for the Mets as well, and they need that presence without Carlos Delgado in the lineup. They put Jose Reyes on the disabled list, I guess, finally today with that calf strain.
What are your Beltran's having?
Ryan Church went on the DL as well.
Yeah.
Here's Frank Catalanato. The word on Ryan Braun, a bruised right wrist, so that obviously coming from the hit by pitch. And this is a guy, everybody says the same thing about him. He's a professional hitter. Frank Catalanato, left-handed bat, generally a left fielder, used to play second base. Right now more of a part-time player, but a guy the Brewers are happy to have coming off their bench.
As a pitching coach of the Texas Rangers, like Mark DeRosa was there, and we said great character, great clubhouse guy. Same thing with Cat. I mean, he gets along with everybody. Great sense of humor. The bat at times has failed him, but he's had some big years.
Here's the 1-2 from Wainwright. And Catalanato got a piece, and then got a piece of the umpire, Paul Nard, on the foul ball.
Doug Melvin, the Brewers general manager, was at one point the general manager for the Texas Rangers. And he traded for Frank Catalanato. He sent Juan Gonzalez to the Detroit Tigers organization, and Catalanato was part of that package that came to Texas. So Doug Melvin going back to somebody he knows from his past and understanding that he'll accept the role on this team and be a veteran that'll keep them prepared to play.
One hopper down to first. Pujols will make the play, and the inning is over as Wainwright gets the Brewers in order here in the bottom of the 5th. Back here in Milwaukee, Dan Shulman, Oral Hershiser, Steve Phillips. The Cardinals 5, the Brewers 1. Adam Wainwright leads it off. He's got a home run here tonight for St. Louis. Seth McClung on the mound for the Brewers, and he misses down an in ball 1. 5 runs, 7 hits, and a couple of errors for the Cardinals. 1 run on only 3 hits so far for the Brewers. It was an absolute bullet off the bat of Wainwright. A line drive to left center for a home run his last time up.
All-around athlete growing up, place kicker, wide receiver on the football team. I'll bet you there was some shortstop in his background, the way he swings the bat.
Here's the 1-1. He fouls it straight back, 1-2.
Pretty good swing. Seth McClung got away with a mistake right there. The ball up in the zone. Now, Wainwright looks like a low ball hitter. He likes to go down and drive it a little bit, but pretty good pitch to hit.
Lays off the breaking ball.
Now, Oral, if you were playing with the Cardinals, would Tony La Russa bat you 8th?
Oh, I don't know.
Huh?
He probably would. He'd bet me wherever he wants. He's the king.
Yeah, but I mean,
I would enjoy it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would like to be there, but you know, you fight as a pitcher to do everything you can on the mound, and then you don't want to give yourself up in what you do at the plate. And you work really, really hard to get your sacrifice bunts down. You work hard to get your ball put in play so that you're just not an automatic out. And I think if you can just develop a swing that puts the ball in play, you got a chance as a pitcher.
Swing and a miss. Wainwright is gone. Time now for our game track, brought to you by Captain Morgan. And the offense for the Cardinals began in the second inning. The first major league home run for Nick Stavinoa. In the fourth inning, Colby Rasmus on the first pitch that he saw from Jeff Suppan with a drive to right center, but then the home run that we mentioned from Wainwright. 3 home runs tonight for the Cardinals. Suppan didn't get out of the fourth, and Adam Wainwright, meanwhile, he's putting together another good night. He had been struggling, Oral, as you mentioned, for much of the season, but on his way, it looks like, to his 3rd consecutive really good performance.
Yeah, he lowered his arm slot, and that can really free up your arm. I think the coaches at home, you don't want to keep telling your pitchers to get your arm up, get your arm up. If you get it too far up and close to your ear, it actually can kind of be a hindrance and slow your arm down and not free you up. It's more about staying on top of the ball with your hands sometimes than it is raising your shoulder and changing your posture.
Well, we talked about that. I mean, so many times you hear coaches say, you know, get your arm up, get your arm up. But isn't the arm slot a byproduct of what's going on with the bottom half of your delivery?
Exactly. I mean, when you stay on top of the ball, you could stay on top of the ball with raising your arm and getting your arm up, or you could stay on top of the ball by getting your hand up. And a lot of times when young kids especially get up, they start tilting their body. And you get a natural arm slot and you can find it, just roll a ball to a kid and just have him throw it like he's a shortstop. You'll see his natural arm slot right there. You won't have to actually pretend like you're a pitcher.
Thurston lifts the ball to right center field. And Cameron is back shy of the track. 2 down. Let's get an update in the studio. Here's Darinoka again.
Guys, Red Sox and Twins. John Lester took a 1-0 lead into the 5th, and then the wheels completely fell off, thanks in large part to Justin Morneau. His 14th of the year, a 3-run shot, 5-run 5th, had the Twins up 5-1 on Boston. Meanwhile, Toronto has lost 8 in a row, 7-2. They fall to the Baltimore Orioles. Cleveland hanging on to a 5-1 lead against Tampa.
Justin Morneau and Joe Mauer, we talked about great combinations. The Brewers have one in Braun and Fielder. If the Cardinals get Ludwig back healthy, he was a terrific offensive player last year, drove in 100 runs. You look at Pujols and Ludwig, you look at Alex Rodriguez, Mark Teixeira, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard. But the way Morneau is swinging the bat and the way that Mauer is swinging the bat, there might be no better combination right now than those two up in Minneapolis.
We were talking to Ken Maka before the game, and they just came from Minnesota from interleague play, and he was raving about him. He thought that the move that Ron Gardenhire made of putting Mauer in the 2-hole in the lineup and Morneau 3 was the exact right thing to do. That it really creates a threat early in the game and early in the innings with those two guys back to back.
Base hit to right center for Schumacher. And he's thinking too. The throw from Cameron, not in time. Schumacher into second with a double.
Well, this is what the Cardinals love, and this is the way they play baseball, and this is the kind of player that Tony La Russa absolutely loves. You go out there and you get a 2-out base hit, and you go, whoa, that's just a single, but I hit it in the gap. I'm going to hustle right out of the box. I'm going to test Mike Cameron's arm and accuracy, and Schumacher just gritty and gutty. Not the fastest guy you'll ever see, not a leadoff blazer, but he gets every ounce out of every bit of talent that he has.
He's lifted his average over 300 on the season. The leadoff hitter for the Cardinals. He's in scoring position with 2 down for Chris Duncan, who has singled, walked, and popped up.
See, that's a great play with 2 outs in an inning. You know, being on first base, you're not in scoring position. You get yourself in second base. So out of the box, he was thinking to himself, I've got to get in scoring position. That's the way the Cardinals organization does it in the minor leagues as well. That's where these guys get it ingrained.
Duncan late on that 94-mile-an-hour fastball, 1-1. Seth McClung came on for Jeff Suppan in the 4th inning. Suppan 3 2/3, gave up 5 runs, all earned on 7 hits. Curveball and a beauty, 1-2.
That's a big at bat for the Brewers right here emotionally, because you have a relief pitcher come in and kind of stop the bleeding. He's throwing pitches like that and getting out of innings, striking some people out, making some quality pitches. But at 5-1, 6-1 here in the middle of the game, emotionally on the bench, it might take an inning or two to recover.
Duncan with a high fly ball to deep right field. Hart back. Hart at the fence. It's gone. Duncan with a 2-run homer. The 4th home run of the night for the Cardinals, and it's 7-1.
Well, he got a fastball up in the zone. McClung had been throwing him some fastballs and trying to keep the ball down to other hitters, but he comes up in the zone right here. And typical left-handed hitters like the ball down. But Duncan, with his strength, able to handle that 91-mile-an-hour fastball up in the zone. You see them set up and in, and they kind of leak back out over the plate a little bit. If that's in on his hands, he probably can't quite catch up to it. But Duncan just takes a nice, easy swing, and big, strong guy with that power coming back after his neck surgery and injuries last year.
So the 4 Cardinal hitters who have hit home runs tonight had a combined 7 home runs on the season between them before this game. Duncan, Rasmus, Stavanoa, and Wainwright have all homered tonight for St. Louis. Pujols, meanwhile, has struck out, had a sac fly, and walked, but it's been some of the other players for Tony La Russa who have given the Cardinals this comfortable lead. Ground ball to second. Inning over, but another home run, a 7-1 lead for the Cardinals. Prince Fielder will lead it off for the Brewers. Can he begin a big comeback for Milwaukee? Bell, the Dodgers and the Cubs from Wrigley Field. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Here, 7-1 St. Louis. The Cardinals have hit 4 home runs. As we go to the bottom of the 6th, and Prince Fielder will lead it off for Milwaukee. A base hit and then an RBI ground out for Fielder. RBI number 43 on the season as he moves into a tie for the National League lead with Raul Ibanez of Philadelphia. The story, though, Adam Wainwright with his arm and with his bat. Wainwright has homered tonight, and he's also been very solid through 5 innings. Looking for his 5th win of the season. Falls behind 3-0.
You know, with Adam Wainwright, we talked about his arm slot and lowering it. Doesn't it go against conventional wisdom about lowering your arm slot and then having a better breaking ball? His outstanding his breaking balls tonight. His slider and his curveball have been really, really sharp and hard to hit, and kept this Milwaukee team off balance.
Full count. After Fielder, it'll be Mike Cameron and Corey Hart. This is the 4, 5, 6 part of the Milwaukee lineup. You can see the shift is on. The second baseman Schumacher way out on the outfield grass. A full shift still with the shortstop Green on his side of second still, and there's ball 4 to Fielder.
He walked him there, but he's been pitching well, and he pitches best with men on base. That's when his back's against the wall and he makes a lot of pitches. But right there, that curveball to Counsell. Look at the low arm slot, though. He's coming out just above his shoulder. His hand, he's getting out front and really biting the ball. Frees up your wrist, frees up your arm speed, and he's got great location and great movement.
And Adam Wainwright, considered to be obviously one of the aces of this staff, but a huge boost for the Cardinals in the last couple of weeks with the return to health of Chris Carpenter. Carpenter, former Cy Young Award winner, pulled an oblique muscle swinging the bat early in the season, has come back and made 2 starts since then. You can see the line on Wainwright tonight. Carpenter with 5 shutout innings in his return against the Cubs, and then 8 incredible innings yesterday against Milwaukee. Was perfect through 6. And Tony La Russa says it. He says if you look at the Cardinals over the last few years, when Carpenter is healthy, the Cardinals are contenders. When Carpenter is not healthy, the Cardinals are not as good. He has not given up an earned run yet this year, covering 23 innings.
The amazing thing about his injury and coming back from that oblique strain is that he came back. He didn't go on a minor league rehab assignment. He didn't throw batting practice. He threw to one of the coaches standing in the batter's box while he just pitched. And he came back and he throws shutout innings. I mean, it doesn't happen that way. I mean, I think that Adam Wainwright is going to be Chris Carpenter. I think he has that kind of potential. His stuff is pretty close, same sort of breaking balls, and I think he has the same demeanor and makeup, and he's growing into being a Chris Carpenter.
And Tony La Russa will speak glowingly about Carpenter and how Carpenter learned as a young pitcher in Toronto from Pat Henkin, who also played a little bit in St. Louis for Tony La Russa, one of La Russa's all-time favorites. And maybe Wainwright will learn from Carpenter as Carpenter did from Henkin. Henkin also a Cy Young Award winner. There's a line drive into center field, a base hit for Hart. Fielder takes second.
You know, and just to finish up on Chris Carpenter, I'll tell you what, he can lead from that staff, and he's not a boisterous guy. You know, he's not outspoken. He will sit there and he will show you with work ethic, and he will show you with results on the mound. And that 05 Cy Young winner, he goes about it the right way. He's humble and he cheers his teammates, and he is there every single day. And even when he was on the DL and he was hurt still, he was helping Wainwright and doing film work with him, and that's why this young man on the mound tonight is pitching so well in his last 3 starts.
And you look with Carpenter healthy, Wainwright and the ability he has, and Joel Pinheiro and the adjustments that he's made this year, the kind of year that he's having. I mean, that's a pretty terrific top 3 of a rotation. And St. Louis is pitching right now. Their team ERA is the best in baseball. The Cardinals coming into tonight had allowed only 6 runs in their last 7 games. They've only given up 1 tonight. So, I mean, they are getting it done on the mound right now. And if Ankiel and Ludwig get healthy, stay healthy, all of a sudden you get the look of a formidable team.
And Kyle Loesch in that rotation as well, who's a pleasant surprise last year and this year.
Grounded sharply to third, to second one, back to first, double play. Great stop by Thurston as he started the 5-4-3 inning-ending double play at the end of 6, 7-1 Cardinals. All right, Dari, thank you. Busy night in sports. Here we go to the top of the 7th inning with the Cardinals leading the Brewers 7-1. Jorge Julio is the new pitcher for Milwaukee. Supano went 3 2/3, gave up 5 runs. Seth McClung 2 1/3, gave up 2 runs. It has been a struggle in the early going for the veteran Julio, who has also pitched for Baltimore, the Mets, Arizona, Florida, Colorado, Cleveland, and Atlanta. So this is his 8th major league team since he broke into back in 2001. Yadier Molina 0 for 2 with a walk.
Well, the thing about Jorge Julio on the mound, he's always had outstanding stuff. It's about location. He strikes out a lot of hitters. A lot of hitters don't hit well off him. The batters don't bang 194 off him this year, but he has 13 walks in 16 1/3 innings. So it's about making quality pitches, pitch after pitch after pitch, and usually gets the ball up in the strike zone or hangs something almost once or twice an inning, and the big league hitters capitalize.
Got that breaking ball down, and it's fouled off down the right field line.
You know, Julio's always had that high velocity fastball, but he's never been able to command it. And at some point, doesn't he have to figure out at what velocity he can command his fastball? Because he still seems like just a thrower.
He is. He gets a little amped up out there. He has trouble, taking care of his emotions and channeling that into ability and production, and not just like, I'm excited to be out here and do my best. But right there's 95 miles an hour. Great movement, but it's still 6 to 8 inches too high. He runs it in on the hitter. Learn to throw that pitch low and away. Learn to throw that pitch then when you need to.
But is there really that big of a difference where a guy can't command a pitch at 95, but he can at 92 if you dial it down just that much?
It is, because just like in a golf swing, maybe you can hit the fairway at 260, but when you go to hit at 280, you're in the rough. And a lot of times for me, I'm in the trees.
But Tom Wellemeyer, who's on the Cardinals staff, he was out there and Dave Duncan saw him pitch. He said these guys are going to feel for a changeup, but boy, he throws the fastball, overthrows the fastball, and everything's up. And when they got him, they said, let's figure out at what velocity you can throw your fastball and command it and throw it where you want to. And it dropped 3 or 4 miles per hour.
Pops him up in a shallow center. McGee out, called off by Cameron at the last second for out number 1. Well, not only are the Brewers trailing on the scoreboard, but potentially more bad news. This is in the third inning. Ryan Braun hit on the right wrist by an Adam Wainwright fastball, left the game with a bruised right wrist, and we don't know the severity of it right now.
Well, we talked about the importance of the 1-2 combinations around the league. Mauer, Morneau, Alex Rodriguez, Teixeira, and the Yankees now. And what that would do to the Brewers, especially after losing Ricky Weeks.
I mean, he's so important to their team. And, we used to talk about David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez, that the Red Sox had a chance to win every day, no matter who was pitching against them or who was pitching for them, whether they had a good day or not, because those two guys could carry the offense. Fielder and Braun have that potential to do that for the Brewers as well.
Swing and a miss. Again, a 94-mile-an-hour running fastball, two-seam fastball, and it's 1-1 on Rasmus, who homered back in the fourth inning, his fifth home run of the season. This is the Cardinal minor league player of the year in both 2006 and 2007. Had a knee injury that cost him a lot of last year. And even though Rick Ankiel is back, and once he starts playing regularly again, at least for the meantime, Rasmus will stay in center, and Ankiel is going to play right, maybe even a little bit of left, because Ryan Ludwig is coming back. But one thing everybody knows, if you play on the Cardinals, you better be ready to move around. Tony La Russa will move his people around. He hasn't used any lineup more than twice so far this season. And last year he used 140 different lineups in 162 games.
You have to be ready to play and ready not to play, but to be able to play later in the game. I mean, that's, you can't get upset if you don't start a game with Tony as the manager. It's the way he uses his roster.
Strike three called, 2 down.
Go from 94 down to 83 with outstanding movement. Jorge Julio could ever package it and find some location. Look at that right there. That's got some serious depth and late movement.
That's a compliment right there. Is what that is.
How are you supposed to hit that, Jorge?
Here's Khalil Green, 0 for 2 with a walk. And you can see the kind of funny swings you can get at that pitch that moves so much, starts off over the heart of the plate and winds up under your hands.
And that's 95 miles an hour. That'll create anxiety in any big league hitter.
Julio getting mop-up duty tonight in this season for Milwaukee. Their closer, of course, the Brewer closer, is baseball's all-time saves leader in Trevor Hoffman, who's got 11 this year, and he's been virtually unhittable so far this season.
And that's really the place where the Brewer season started to turn around. If they had an early turnaround, they were 8-10 with 7 blown saves in their first 18 games. And April 27th, Trevor Hoffman comes back, puts the bullpen in order. He's 11 for 11 in save opportunities.
If you look at the numbers for Jorge Julio over the last few years, with the Mets in 2006 a 5.06 ERA, in 2007 a 12+ ERA with the Florida Marlins, 2008 a 5.6 ERA with the Cleveland Indians. And what you say, well, why does he keep getting a job? Well, because he throws 95 and he's got a slider that can get swings and misses. He just can't find a way to do it consistently enough.
And there's ball 4 to Green. Back to the studio for an update.
Nicorette takes us to Denver, Colorado. Dodgers and Rockies. Casey Blake has found a nice home in recent days, and the cleanup spot, why not, leads the Dodgers in homers. He goes 3-run double. LA up 4-1. Hey, this team can still hit without Manny Ramirez. 4-1 Dodgers. We'll keep you posted, guys.
Yes, saw last night on SportsCenter, the Dodgers, since Manny was suspended, are 10-7, and they have scored more runs per game since the suspension than with Manny Ramirez. 5.6 runs per game with him, 5.9 runs per game since the suspension.
Well, Juan Pierre has been fantastic, and I give him a lot of credit because he sat for a year and a half, not getting playing time, frustrated, hoping to get traded to get a chance to play, and he's taken advantage of the opportunity. Good for him.
So what do they do when Manny comes back? I mean, Manny's playing, obviously.
Good role player. He'd be a good guy off the bench.
Well, he's 4th in the All-Star balloting. I mean, they could have a little controversy there if he gets voted onto the All-Star team.
Chance to see the Dodgers Sunday Night Baseball this week from Wrigley Field. Ground ball up the middle and a base hit for Stavanoa. Up to second goes Khalil Green. A big night for Stavanoa, who back in the 2nd inning launched his first major league home run.
Well, but a good swing on an inside fastball. The ball was actually in off the plate. Got his hands inside, rotated really well, and that's a big day and a big moment for that young man.
That's a pitch a lot of guys will pull foul into the stands down the left field line, but he kept that fair by quite a bit.
And here's Adam Wainwright. 6 solid innings on the mound for the Cardinals, giving up just 1 run, and he's also hit a home run tonight. 1 of 4 the Cardinals have in this game. And Julio got the first 2 outs, got a pop up to shallow center, struck out Colby Rasmus, and then a walk to a guy hitting 200 who can barely buy a base hit right now. Then a base hit to Stavanoa. Now he falls behind a pitcher. This is kind of Julio in a nutshell, this inning right here. 2-0. Didn't like the call. You can see the body language from Julio, and that's going to be noticed. That's not going to help him get the next call either.
No, not when you don't have command. You're not going to start begging for strikes and get any sympathy from the umpires.
Big swing and a foul off by Wainwright. Let's look at his home run.
Well, he's an avid golfer, and he golfs this one out. Nice low fastball over the middle of the plate. Coming in the ballpark today, he had a golf shirt on. We got to see him. He didn't take a bus. He took the cab, and the golf shirt said Isleworth. It's a place I used to kind of hang out. He said he played golf with Tiger Woods and John Smoltz there.
Wainwright, of course, was with Atlanta. Got traded over a few years back. That's pretty good company.
That would have been a nice threesome. I wonder who the 4th was.
You try to muscle your way in on that one next time?
I might try. Got to get that. Maybe I'll start texting a few people, get that one set up for next spring.
Or Twitter? You going to Twitter?
I don't tweet yet. Do you tweet?
No.
Dan?
No.
Okay. I guess we're not getting any endorsements up here.
I'm not quite sure what it is.
I don't know either.
Well, they're still managing to have a good time here at Miller Park. Another big crowd with their rivals, the St. Louis Cardinals, in town for the 2nd game of a 3-game series. Milwaukee winning yesterday. A day game tomorrow to wrap up the series. Todd Wellemeyer for the Cardinals and Manny Parra for the Brewers. If St. Louis goes on to win this game, these 2 teams will be tied for the divisional lead. Wainwright chases, and the inning is over. 7th inning stretch into Milwaukee, 7-1 St. Louis. Very well, Chauncey Billups. Aren't you going to say Mr. Big Shot now?
Chauncey Billups, I'll tell you what, he's the difference for that team this year. Wow.
Gets the ball in the right people's hands.
Yep. They're a fun team to watch. Bottom of the 7th inning, the Cardinals 7. The Brewers 1 here at Miller Park. Dan Shulman, Steve Phillips, Oral Hershiser. Don't forget Yankees and Rangers tomorrow night on ESPN2. Sunday night baseball, the Dodgers and the Cubs from Wrigley. And on Monday night, Stephen Orwell and myself will be in Cleveland, the Indians hosting the Yankees. Here's Jason Kendall leading it off against Wainwright. And quickly in an 0-2 hole. Swing and a miss, and Kendall is gone. Now some changes for the Cardinals. We'll tell you about them in a moment. But first, Dari's got an update in the studio.
Yeah, Dan, let's go back to the Reds and Astros. Joey Votto been battling that inner ear infection. How about this to make him feel a little better? Bottom of the 7th, 2-run home run off Tim Burdack. The Reds take a 6-4 lead. They have it still in the 7th. Astros have lost 5 in a row. Meanwhile, Phillies beat the Marlins. Mets beat the Nationals. Meanwhile, Padres looking for their 11th straight win, still scoreless with Arizona, guys.
How about San Diego, the hottest team in the baseball, winning 10 in a row to get above the 500 mark, move into 2nd in the National League West. This is Jody Garrett now coming up as a pinch hitter in the pitcher spot. Speaking of San Diego, picked up at a trade just a few days ago from the Padres for Tony Gwynn Jr. We saw Garrett with the Padres hit a home run as the first batter ever to bat in New City Field, the home of the Mets. All of a sudden, it's a brand new looking bench for Milwaukee. Jody Garrett acquired from San Diego. Frank Catalanato coming up. Matt Gamble, one of their young prospects, getting called up for the minors. That'll be a strikeout. 2-3 on the putout. Back-to-back strikeouts for Wainwright. He's got 9 now tonight through 6 2/3. And the next pitcher tonight for Milwaukee will be left-hander Trevor Miller. Excuse me, Mitch Stetter up in the pen for Milwaukee. Here are the defensive changes for the Cardinals. Brian Barden has come into the game at third base. Joe Thurston moving from third to second. And Skip Schumacher moving from second to right. Nick Stavanoa out of the game. Two outs, nobody on. Craig Counsell will be the batter. It looks like maybe Yadier Molina a little bit shaken. The home plate umpire Paul Nard is giving Molina a little time to work it out.
Dan, you talked about the changed bench for the Brewers, but it was an effort to add some left-handed bats to that bench. They felt like they had struggled against right-handed pitching with Bill Hall scuffling against right-handers, so they're trying to add some lefty bats.
Base hit through the left side for Counsell. He's 2 for 4.
Well, Adam Wainwright has had it working tonight. It's been the curveball that's made him so effective in this game with the 10 strikeouts. You see Craig Counsell looking at that one. Corey Hart checking his swing, or trying to. Twice right there with Corey Hart. Then the fastball up in the zone to Bill Hall. Then going back to the curveball again and again and again. That curveball very effective for Wainwright tonight. The put-away pitch, all of them getting the hitters to chase it off the plate, breaking it down into the zone. And boy, that curveball has been outstanding.
Now he starts Casey McGee with a strike. We talked about Wainwright in his last 2 starts, how effective he has been, totaling 16 2/3 innings, just 2 runs and 14 strikeouts. And look at those numbers with a career high 9 strikeouts tonight. Fly ball to right field. Schumacher back. Inning over. 7 in the books here in Milwaukee. The Cardinals lead by 6. The world famous sausage race here in Milwaukee, and it was hot dog winning in a rout tonight here at Miller Park, leaving the rest of the field in his dust. We go to the top of the 8th inning. The Cardinals 7, the Brewers 1. Joe Thurston now at second base for St. Louis. 2 for 3 tonight. He scored a couple of runs. New pitcher for Milwaukee, left-hander Mitch Stetter, making his 22nd appearance on the season.
Outstanding numbers, 188 opponent's batting average, big sweeping slider to neutralize the left-handers.
Last outing, that was the thing that we worried about when he hit Joe Mauer, and we were worried about his hand, and then the call got reversed. We were going to bring Mauer back to the plate. And the next hitter, Justin Morneau, hit a grand slam.
Another slider misses just low. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Thurston. Came up in the Dodger organization. St. Louis is his 4th team. Been around for a while, but hasn't gotten a whole lot of opportunity at the major league level. Outside, full count.
The left-hander's hitting only 115 against Stetter, and you can see why, as the pitch comes from almost behind the left-handed hitter, coming from right field, and then the big sweep and breaking ball that he wants to take to the outside corner, hoping that the left-handed hitter gives a little bit. The front hip opens to where you can't reach the slider on the outside part of the plate. See if we see Jason Kendall on the pitch selection.
Up and away, ball 4. Now, we talked about Chris Carpenter of the Cardinals and the impact he can have and has had on this team, not only on the mound but also mentoring Adam Wainwright. You talked about how the stuff is kind of similar, both big tall righties, fastball and good breaking ball, and they're good buddies, and also Wainwright could do a whole lot worse than trying to learn from a guy like Chris Carpenter.
They just love it when you see the knowledge being passed down. I was reading some articles about, Carpenter helping Wainwright, and some people were blogging and different things on the internet, and St. Louis about where was Dave Duncan. You know, we pay him all this money to be this great pitching coach. Well, that's part of being a pitching coach, is creating that atmosphere where everybody's always talking pitching and helping each other. And a lot of those ideas run through Duncan, and then Carpenter says, I saw this, and Duncan says, yeah, go ahead and talk to him about it or work on it. Because you can't be at all places at one time. You've got 13 pitchers on your staff, and you've got a great veteran like Carpenter. You use him. And if he's got time to go in the film room while you're in the bullpen doing work with somebody else, then you let a guy like that work with your guys. That's part of being a great pitching coach. So the people that were blogging and talking about him, where was he on this fix, were completely wrong.
Well, awfully hard to criticize Dave Duncan with his resume.
Yeah. Softly hit at center field, a base hit for Schumacher. Thurston will stop at second. We made reference to the great run that the Cardinal pitching staff has been on. Look at these numbers. This includes tonight. This includes what Wainwright has done tonight. An ERA well under 1. And Dave Duncan's got to be awfully proud of the development. I guess Joel Pinheiro would be the guy you would single out this year as the guy who has really taken a big jump under Dave Duncan. But Adam Wainwright certainly has ace potential. Chris Carpenter has won a Cy Young Award. Ryan Franklin's doing a great job as the closer. We're talking about the startership, but Ryan Franklin's done a great job as the closer for the Cardinals.
Well, the way you have a good bullpen is your starting pitchers averaging 7+ innings per start. You keep your bullpen in the bullpen and then pitch them when you want to, not because you need to. Tony La Russa talked about the fact they went to 13 pitchers, and his key guys in the bullpen haven't pitched wasted innings where they haven't been important innings. They've been able to spell them, give them rest, keep them sharp and fresh and effective.
Yeah, on the 19th, they played Chicago. Their ERA was 4.23. Well, coming in tonight, it's 3.67, and it leads the National League. It leads all of Major League Baseball. So they have made some kind of run in the last week as a pitching staff. And in the last 10 games, the Cardinals are 5-5. And they're, you know, Albert Pujols in the last 10 games has 1 RBI. He's been walked and pitched around, but the rug has not gotten pulled out from under the Cardinals because of the pitching.
You know, I think for the rest of the teams in the Central, when you look at those numbers, and now you understand that Ludwig's coming back on Friday, Ankiel's due back Friday, and getting a chance to start to play again too. That's bad news for the teams in the Central Division because their pitching's locked in, and now the offense is going to come back to be maybe what it was last year.
Close but no. 2-2 the count on Chris Duncan. Let's take another look at that last pitch.
You know, we talk about that breaking ball coming from behind. Boy, it just catches the bottom of the strike zone. I just love the angle that he comes at.
Deep center. Cameron racing back. On the track, makes the catch. Thurston will tag and head to third. Back to first goes Schumacher.
The interesting thing is that Stetter's just faced 3 left-handed hitters. A walk, a hit, and then a deep fly ball. They've all had pretty good swings for a guy that's tough to see.
And after Stetter faces the left-handers, he will leave. He is not going to be allowed to stay to face Albert Pujols. So Todd Coffey's going to come into the game as Kenemaka makes his way out to the mound. Been a rough night so far for the Brewers. Albert Pujols will bat when we come back. St. Louis leading 7-1. Log on to ESPN.com. Here's the most excited man in the building tonight, Todd Coffey, and this is part of his act. He races it.
Act?
This is not his act. Part of his. No, this is part of what he does. This gets him pumped up. This is who he is. He's an excitable guy.
You guys don't understand. Ken Maka went to the mound and yelled, "First one here gets to pitch," and he came sprinting out of the bullpen to get to the mound.
I think he was the chorizo in the sausage race a minute ago, actually. He's usually quicker than that, but I think he was a little bit winded. But you know what? A waiver pickup from Cincinnati last year, originally a 41st round pick by the Reds back in 1998. He's got some good numbers. Got a less than desirable job description right now, though. Runners at first and third, 1 out. And Albert Pujols is up. A slider for a strike.
Well, big challenge to face this guy anytime, but first then third and 1 out. Todd Coffey has come into 3 bases loaded situations this year and stranded all 9 runners. This might be a tougher situation.
Ball and a strike. Pujols tonight has struck out, had a sac fly, walked, and grounded out. So officially 0 for 2.
Talk about a pickup for the Brewers. You know, you pay all the money to high school and college kids in the draft, millions of dollars. Well, for $20,000, that's what you pay for a waiver claim. You get a guy who throws 93 to 95 with a pretty good breaking ball.
Brad Thompson on your left, Dennis Reyes on your right. Ground ball to short, crazy hop over Counsell into the outfield. And instead of an inning-ending double play, it's another run for the Cardinals.
Well, only Albert Pujols' second RBI in the last 11 games. He's been pitched around and walked to. Has to go out of the strike zone to get this one, plus then gets a good hop. For him as an offensive player, Craig Counsell, no chance on that one. The ball was hit very, very hard and hit that bad hop, and the topspin took it right by him. Actually feels like it accelerates when you're playing the infield.
Didn't hit lip between the grass and the dirt, just took off on Counsell. It's an RBI single for Pujols, his 40th RBI of the season. And he can afford to smile with the Cardinals up 8-1 here in the 8th inning. Now Yadier Molina. When you look at the consistency of Pujols' numbers year after year, regardless of who's hitting in front of him, who's behind him, who's healthy, who's not, hitting over 300, hitting home runs, driving in runs. In his 9th season in the big leagues, Albert Pujols has finished in the top 5 in MVP voting 7 of his first 8 years, has won 2 of them.
Well, we asked Tony La Russa about, do you worry about who you can protect him with and get him better pitches? And he said, well, they haven't thrown Albert Pujols in the middle of the plate the whole time he's been in the big leagues.
Yes.
He's used to going to the corners or off the plate to gather those numbers and help the team.
Fouled off 2-1. Every year that Albert Pujols has been in the big leagues, he has hit at least 300 with 30 or more home runs and 100 or more RBIs. The only players ever to do that 8 or more seasons, and we're not talking about the first 8 or 9 years of their career. The only players to ever do that are Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth. That's some quality company that Albert Pujols is keeping, and he is on track to make it 9 this year. Down to third. There's one. And there's 2 to end the inning. But the Cardinals get another run. Pujols drives it in. 8-1 going to the bottom of the 8th. Welcome back to Milwaukee. A rough night for the Brewers. They're down 8-1. Ryan Braun is left with a bruised wrist after being hit by a pitch earlier in the game. 4 home runs for the Cardinals. A great performance by Adam Wainwright. But Wainwright now done. His veteran left-hander Dennis Reyes comes on for the 22nd time this season.
Now his nickname is the Big Sweat. This guy can sweat in 30-degree weather. I had him as a pitcher with Texas. He's a fantastic guy. But last year had a great year with Minnesota. 75 appearances, a career high, and he's leading this staff with appearances right now with 21.
Likely in to face 2 left-handed batters in Frank Catalanato and Prince Fielder, a right-hander warming in the Cardinal pen. Second at bat of the night for Catalanato. He took over for Braun when Braun left the game. Breaking ball popped up for Barden at third base. Number 1.
We talked about all the different lineups that Tony La Russa uses for the offensive side. Well, he can make some pitching changes with the best of them out there. 23 times this season he's brought a relief pitcher and only faced 1 hitter, so he's worn a path out from time to time. And really, I think one of the guys early on that started the situational relief pitching and using a bullpen out there.
He had great success as manager of the White Sox and then of course with the A's, but Tony La Russa's style seems so much better suited for the National League than it does for the American League, especially after watching them all these years in St. Louis. La Russa's contract, by the way, is up at the end of the season.
And it's not a slam dunk that he will be back. I think that it's open for discussion. They've kind of changed the philosophy in the front office there. Going a lot more with homegrown talent. And Tony has accepted that, and he raves about this team. I mean, he will tell you, the one thing I'll say about my club, they're going to play hard. They play exciting baseball. He really speaks very highly of these men on his team. But this isn't the typical La Russa team. Veterans have tended to be his preference.
Up the middle, Thurston in time to get Fielder 2 down. Well, these are the top 2 teams in the National League Central right now, with the Milwaukee, with their win yesterday, a game ahead of St. Louis. Looks like the Cardinals will move back into a tie with the Brewers. Cincinnati in 3rd, and the Cubs are struggling so badly, having lost 8 in a row. Coming into action tonight, again, the Cubs and Dodgers, Sunday Night Baseball here on ESPN. How about the Pittsburgh Pirates playing a little bit better, having won 7 of their last 10, entering play tonight. The Houston Astros in last place right now. Here's Mike Cameron, 1 for 3.
Some of the young starters for the Pirates have pitched a little better. Zach Duke's been pretty good for them this year.
Oh, Freddie Sanchez 6 for 6 last night.
Oh, he's batting champion, right?
Yep. 1-1 to Mike Cameron, and he fouls it off. 1 and 2, and that got a piece of Yadier Molina. It's not easy back there. A lot of bumps and bruises that we don't get a chance to see, especially for a guy who catches about 135, 140 games a year.
This is the thing about catching and then taking these bumps and bruises up to the plate and being a good offensive player. I think about Mike Piazza. Boy, it went right under the flap, right on his toes. This is the second time we've had a delay for him tonight. We think about Joe Mauer and the 2 batting titles as a catcher, and Mike Piazza, the great things he's done behind the plate. Any offensive catcher, it's amazing they do it. It's taking the beating they do, and one more back-to-back pitches. Let's get your upper body now.
That's a glove save and a beauty right there.
And you'd think he's 6-7 years younger than Benji and Jose. You'd think at some point he'd look at the 2 of them and say, you know what, I might try third base or second base, but it's the quickest path to the big leagues, and you've got 3 brothers, all catchers at the major league level. There's a base hit through the left side for Cameron. And not only 3 catchers at the major league level, I mean, they all know what they're doing behind the plate. 2 of them have won Gold Gloves, and all of them have won a World Series.
Well, their father Benjamin passed away this past October when his kids were playing ball. He actually built a field across the street from the house and was grooming the field between games of a doubleheader, and collapsed and passed away. But they said he was doing what he loved, and that's building a baseball field for kids.
Pitching change here in Milwaukee, as Chris Perez will be coming in for the Cardinals. '23-year-old right-hander Chris Perez, in his 2nd year in the big leagues, from Bradenton, Florida, a hard thrower and considered within the Cardinal organization to be a potential future closer. Right now it's Ryan Franklin, but they've got 2 young pitchers, Chris Perez and Jason Mott, both of whom they think very highly of.
He can top off 94, 95. Got a good slider. Occasional curveball he'll throw to a guy like Corey Hart, a right-hander.
Hart 1 for 3, had a base hit his last time up. He's also struck out twice. The Brewers with just a run on 6 hits tonight. The Cardinals have 8 runs on 12 hits, 4 of them home runs. And with the 1 run allowed by St. Louis tonight, their incredible run of pitching continues. They have now given up only 7 runs in their last 8 games.
Well, watching Perez throw, he kind of takes the ball out of his glove and stops, and then goes into his motion. What's he doing there?
A little timing mechanism for him, trying to time up his upper body and his arm swing with his leg kick. Looks like he's just not quite ready to do it, so he kind of pulls it out and takes it back in.
Pops him up down the right field line. A trio of Cardinals heading over, and it will be a foul ball out of play.
We'll see a few guys around the big leagues in overtime that'll actually have this little hitch in their giddy up. Takes the ball out, goes back and taps his glove, and then goes through. If he would throw a lot of balls up, you would think that timing device would be too much movement, because that would make his arm late.
Is that a technical term? Hitching the giddy up?
Hitching the giddy up, yeah.
Okay. I just want to be sure, because I write down all the smart things you say, and I wasn't
all
sure.
Of them?
Hitching the giddy up.
And you wrote that one down?
Well, it's a blank sheet of paper.
Oh my gosh.
But hitching the giddy up, I like that. There's the hitching the giddy up.
It's right up there with kinesthetic sense.
All right, pops him up on the left side. And this one will be playable in foul territory for Barden to end the inning, as Perez gets the third out. Well, there are some Cardinal fans in the house here tonight, and they are having the better time with St. Louis leading Milwaukee 8-1 as we go to the top of the ninth inning. New pitcher for the Brewers, right-hander Mark DeFelice, who has had a very nice season and kind of a pleasant surprise. This is a 32-year-old guy who has spent years in the minors, just made his major league debut late last season with the Brewers, and look at the numbers he's putting up this year. At one point pitched in an independent league, but got back into mainstream organized baseball, if you will, and now having a good season for the Brewers. With the first pitch he throws is lined into the right field corner by Colby Rasmus. It'll be a double for him, his second hit of the night, as we check it again with Dari Noka.
Dan, the tremendous season for Zach Greinke continues tonight at home against the Detroit Tigers. Throws his 5th complete game. Those 5 complete games tops in all of Major League Baseball. In fact, second best in the American League is just 2 complete games. Royals get the 6-1 win. He gave up an earned run. That means his ERA goes up to 0.84. First pitcher since 1966 with 10 starts and a sub-1 ERA.
Wow. First pitcher since 1966.
Well, in 68 they lowered, or 69 they lowered the mound. So he's doing it with different tools.
Here's Khalil Green.
And with Khalil Green at the plate, I think Zach Greinke's a great role model for him, with Khalil Green going through some anxiety issues. Zach Greinke went through that, left the team for a while to try to get some help to deal with that, and he has come back and really regained his confidence.
When Khalil Green came up with San Diego 5-6 years ago, he was looked upon as a terrific young player, a guy who had a chance to develop into a star, kind of plateaued and then regressed. And now with St. Louis, dealing with anxiety issues that he admits have affected him at the plate and in the field as he strikes out for the first out of the inning. Now, Zach Greinke has been on fire all season long for the Royals. Let's check out who else is hot. Joe Mauer. You can't keep him in the yard these days. Raul Ibanez, what a pickup he's been for the Phillies. And Justin Verlander, looking like the Verlander of about 3 years ago. One of the big reasons why the Tigers are off to a good start this year.
Ibanez got a chance to win the Triple Crown the end of the season now. He's like 5th in average and tops in RBIs and home runs. He was hidden up there in Seattle for a while.
What an addition to their team, though. I mean, they're leading the National League in home runs. The Philadelphia Phillies are.
They had 64 going into the night.
And another real threat to that lineup with Utley and Howard and Ibanez. Jimmy Rollins starting to heat up a little bit as well, swinging the bat. Starting pitching's been an issue for the Phillies, though. They haven't gotten the kind of starting pitching that they hoped.
Ryan Barden, a swing and a miss, and another strikeout for DeFelice. The Cardinals got going early with a home run in the second inning tonight. Nick Stavanoa, his first major league home run. Colby Rasmus and Adam Wainwright each homered in the 4th. Chris Duncan homered in the 6th. And it has been a very quiet night for the Milwaukee Brewers with the bats. Here is Brendan Ryan coming up in the pitcher's spot. He'll look at a strike. Middle infielder.
Tony La Russa taking the opportunity to get some of his bench players in this game and at bat to keep everybody fresh and sharp and hungry.
That's exactly what you're talking about. If you're not in the starting lineup, you've got to be ready to play. There's no real off night on a National League team, and especially a La Russa National League team.
Right-hander Blaine Boyer is up. I mentioned earlier there are 13 pitchers right now, 8 relievers on this Cardinal team. A guy like Boyer hasn't had a chance to pitch much lately. The Cardinals could go down to 12 pitchers because the starters have been going so deep into games. Some of the extra guys in the pen haven't been getting an opportunity. It's a A lot of people down there.
I tell you, you'd rather sit in the big leagues than play in the minors. So.
Yeah, the meal money's a little better.
Minimum salary's better. Meal money's better.
You don't have to carry your bags.
Well, we got wheels on them today.
Still,
but you're right. You don't.
Have to carry your bags.
Travel is pretty nice.
A little better. The flights are different, aren't they?
You get on the charter, you get to the hotel, you go to your room. The bellman tells you when the bags arrive. They call your room. They bring them up. It's pretty nice.
So pretty much like the life you're still leading now.
No, I have Steve carry my bag now.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that, by the way.
2-2 the count on Ryan.
But, you know, for the players on a getaway day, they'll go in the clubhouse after the game, and there'll be a spread of food for them there. Then they take the bus to the plane, and as you walk onto the plane, there's food for them as they get onto the plane and served to them throughout the flight. Then they usually land and go out to eat.
They burn a lot of calories at the workouts in the play. Life in the big leagues, the part the fans don't see. You know, they see the great salaries and they see all the great facilities that are being built all around the country, this great stadium here and others. But the peripheral things also around it are very, very nice, as plush as could be. And the locker rooms they're building, it's amazing, the ones we see at Citi Field and New Yankee Stadium, and here we walk through today.
Again, the 2-2. Ground ball down to third. Inning over. Ryan out by a step. We're going to the bottom of the ninth here at Miller Park. The Cardinals 3 outs away from a win. And don't forget the Yankees and Rangers tomorrow night on ESPN2. We go to the bottom of the ninth here in Milwaukee, but the Cardinals leading the Brewers 8-1. Right-hander Blaine Boyer comes out of the Cardinal pen, the 4th St. Louis pitcher of the night. The guy picked up in a trade in April from Atlanta. And again, a guy just getting sporadic opportunities right now because the Cardinals are carrying 13 pitchers and the starters have been so unbelievably good and going so deep into games.
And when your stats are like that, every opportunity is a key one to show off your wares. For Dave Duncan, Tony La Russa, gain some confidence from management.
Sports Center is coming up as soon as this game is over here on ESPN. Look at all the major league action, NBA and NHL playoffs as well, so stay tuned for that. Scott Van Pelt and Steve Levy will be your anchors. Sports Center as soon as this game is over. And the Cardinals are 3 outs away from winning it. Fouled off by Hall. Dave Duncan's got to be awfully proud. Just off the charts, ridiculously good numbers for his pitching staff in the last 8 games.
I believe a future Hall of Famer along with Tony La Russa. I think they both should be considered Hall of Famers. And what Dave Duncan's done to so many pitchers' careers, resurrecting careers, reclamation projects.
Now, managers obviously have gone into the Hall of Fame, but no coach has ever gone into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, I know, and I don't even know if they allow them to be on ballots, but I would say that when you look at the impact that he has had on the game, it's as significant as any manager or player, really, with how he's impacted so many different pitchers and their teams.
Pujols into foul territory. 1 down.
I agree with you, Steve. And I think even Rudy Jaramillo down there in Texas as a hitting side of the equation, and maybe even a Charlie Lau. You think about the hitting side and the great coaches.
We're now starting to talk about scouts getting into the Hall of Fame. I think that you know, when you look at the impact people have on the game is really what I think the Hall of Fame is about. The special impact that you've had.
There's Jason Kendall. And how about the scout who found Albert Pujols? I mean, 13th round pick, and we all understand that Pujols wasn't in the kind of condition then that he is now, and everybody passed over him. Nobody thought he would become this good of a player, but somebody liked him.
Well, he was a great sign. I think the thing is taking the 13th round, they were wrong 12 times before that, because if as good as he's turned out, it was a risk to let him slide in the draft without taking him. So I got Mike Piazza, the 62nd round. I mean, as good as he turned out, you know, the Dodgers, it was a great pick, but they were wrong 61 times before because of how good Pujols turned out to be, or Piazza turned out to be.
Out to second. 2 down. A look at the upcoming games on the ESPN family of networks. This week, the Yankees and the Rangers tomorrow night on ESPN2 beginning at 8 Eastern. Steve will be in Chicago for the Dodgers and Cubs. Sunday night baseball from Wrigley. And then Steve Worrell and myself will all be in Cleveland. The Yankees and Indians Monday night 7 Eastern right here on ESPN.
And before that game tomorrow night, got a special baseball tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. on ESPN2 leading up to that game.
Here's Matt Gamble getting it at bat now. This is one of the young prospects the Brewers have brought up. He's a third baseman, a work in progress defensively. Left-handed batter with some power. They did use him in Minneapolis and will use him in the coming weeks as a DH in American League parks and interleague play. 0-2.
That swing didn't show up, but I think he's got a little Nick Swisher in him, where he kind of crouches in there and really keeps his front shoulder in. Looks like the kind of gamer that's going to grind out at bats. Power in a small package.
Got a piece. A very quiet night here for the Milwaukee Brewers. They may be concerned about the status of Ryan Braun, who left with a bruised wrist after getting hit by a pitch back in the third inning. The Cardinals on their way to beating Milwaukee for the first time this season in 5 tries, and on their way into moving back into a first-place tie in the division with Milwaukee. But the rubber match of the series tomorrow afternoon. There'll be another opportunity tomorrow for Prince Fielder and the rest of the Brewers. Todd Wellemeyer against Manny Parra to wrap up the series. 1-2 pitch, just low.
You don't think players think about baseball 24 hours a day and grind on their sport to get to this level? When you see Prince Fielder in an 8-1 game, he's not even close to getting up. 5-6 slots away. He's in there working.
Special guys do that, right? I mean, that's that extra little bit of mental toughness. You know, they talked a lot watching all the highlights from last night, how Victor Martinez, who's really struggled swinging the bat for the Cleveland Indians when they fell behind, he kept urging his teammates, listen, let's go, stay in it. We've got a chance to come back. We've got a chance to come back, and he ended up getting the big hit to end up winning the game.
Full count.
You love having those gym rats on your team. The guys that just love to play, love to compete. It's not always about the score and the winning and the losing and the disappointment of that. It's just the next at bat, the next game.
This should do it. And the Cardinals win it by a score of 8-1 here in Milwaukee to move back into a first-place tie in the National League Central with the Brewers.
And they've held it afloat with the pitching. Wainwright's back on the beam his last 3 outings. Chris Carpenter, even though they lose yesterday, had a no decision, but he's doing well. Watch out for the Cardinals.
And for the Milwaukee Brewers, first step after this game, go talk to the trainers to check on Ryan Braun and hope that J.J. Hardy is back in the lineup tomorrow at shortstop.
Albert Pujols drives in a couple of runs for the Cardinals. 4 other St. Louis players hit home runs tonight as the Cardinals beat the Brewers by a score of 8-1. Wainwright the win to go to 5-2. Suppan the loss. He falls to 3-4 on the season. SportsCenter is next here on ESPN. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Steve Phillips, Oral Hershiser, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dan Shulman saying thanks for watching tonight from Milwaukee. Again, the final, the Cardinals 8 and the Brewers 1. SportsCenter is next. Here are Scott Van Pelt and Steve Levy.